to see what would happen with this. And it all landed yesterday. Jonathan Majors was convicted of assaulting his former girlfriend after a trial that he had hoped would vindicate him and restore his status as an emerging Hollywood star, and it did the opposite. Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company dropped him hours after the verdict. A Manhattan jury found Majors guilty of one misdemeanor assault charge and one harassment violation stemming from his March confrontation with then-girlfriend Grace Jabari. She said that he attacked her in a car and left her in excruciating pain. His lawyer said Jabari was the aggressor. Majors, who was acquitted on a different assault charge and of aggravated harassment, looked slightly downward and showed no immediate reaction as the verdict was read. He declined to comment as he left the courthouse. So he got hit with the lesser charge.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm curious because it said like a third-degree assault. Like, I don't know what that is. Is that like pushing back or hitting back? You know, and I'm not trying to minimize.
No. You need to understand
here.
it. I found myself being confused by the delineation as well, Case, about what they were. So there was
third degree is not. I mean, first degree is the worst. Second degree is bad. Third degree, I don't know, because it sounds like she was an aggressor as well.
Or what state was it?
This is New York.
It just says here, Casey, in my story that I read, a misdemeanor assault charge. So, I mean, maybe it's a difference between felonious and misdemeanor. I don't really know.
If there's an air of premeditation to it, or if it's sort of a reflexive reaction to.
Every now and then, I will go look at the, the first, second, and third degree and what those mean and the delineation of crime and how it's written out, by the letter of the law.
Right.
And I forget what they are all the time. I don't know what all they are.
There's a legal, there's a lawyer who breaks down legal scenes in movies and law in movies, and he's going to release a video on this, explaining what the breakdown is. The takeaway, though, it was enough for Marvel, who was kind of, sitting there waiting to see what happened.
Yeah, sure.
To let him go.
But it is a misdemeanor.
Yes.
What does that mean? I don't know.
Well, so according to this line that I'm reading, Casey, it says the mixed verdict is a result of the jury believing Majors recklessly assaulted his ex-girlfriend, but did not intentionally do so. So it has to do with what Steve was talking about with intent.
Okay. What I'm reading is that it's like, it says inflicting fear. So not necessarily physically injuring them.
Third degree means that?
Yeah.
No, so she was physically injured. I mean, in fact, the most damning stuff, Kathy, was him very vigorously trying to dissuade her from going to the hospital. And in that audio, he says, you don't realize the ramifications of this. And so he was very afraid of what that would do to his career.
Yeah, his lawyer, Priya Chaudhry, said in a statement that he still has faith in the process and looks forward to fully clearing his name. While he was convicted of an assault charge that involves recklessly causing injury, so recklessly,
yes,
as opposed to intentionally. She said that his team was grateful for his acquittal on the other assault count, which concerned intentionally causing injury. Marvel and Disney immediately dropped the star from all upcoming projects following the conviction, said a person close to the studio. Before his arrest, he had been on track to become a central figure throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe, playing the antagonist role of Kang. He'd already been in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and the first two seasons of Loki, and he was supposed to star in Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, which is scheduled to come out in May of 2026. His sentencing is set for February 6th. He faces the possibility of up to a year in jail. For the assault conviction, though, probation or other non-jail sentences are also probably, and that's probable, I would think.
They're actually talking to Tim Reed, Preston, who played Venus Flytrap.
No kidding.
Replaced him as Kang.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said in a statement that the trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse and escalating patterns of coercion. The dispute between Majors and Jabari began in the backseat of a chauffeured car and spilled into the streets of Manhattan.
So I think another damning thing, Preston, we played the audio last week, which is of him, I'm a great man. You don't understand. I'm a great man.
Well, we talked about it. You had heard it. I haven't heard it yet.
Oh, you didn't
hear
play it? Okay. I thought I grabbed it. Perhaps
Marissa,
not.
see if you can find that, because I do want to hear that. Yeah, he was talking about what a great man he was.
Yeah.
Over 4 days of tearful testimony, Jabari said that Majors was excessively controlling and prone to fits of explosive rage that left her afraid physically quite a lot. She broke down on the witness stand as the jury watched security footage of him pushing her back into the car after the backseat confrontation. Prosecutors described the video as showing Majors, quote, manhandling her and shoving her into the vehicle as if she was a doll. Majors did not take the stand, but Chaudhry said that her client was the victim of white lies, big lies, and pretty little lies.
Pretty Little Lies.
You know, invented by Jabari to exact revenge on an unfaithful partner. So they were having issues with that.
They certainly were. Yeah.
And so I guess they were playing that for his defense.
I'm surprised, though, honestly, that Marvel waited. I mean, which is really everyone is due their day in court. I mean, and
Yeah.
but they did sort of wait to see what their verdict was.
And that's the right play.
I think it is.
You know,
I
really.
think, you can't just. Now, mind you, I get that a big company doesn't want to be associated with somebody who has the outward image of being abusive to a woman. But they did give him his day in court. And then, but the second the verdict came in, boom.
Yeah. So,
and they were on the phone with Tim Reed.
we'll see what it means for appealing stuff like this. I mean, his sentencing is coming up. I don't know if there are any avenues
A year,
left.
they said, but not likely that he'll do.
No, but
a
I'm
year.
saying if there are avenues to
appeal? Yes, that's a good question.
I'm not really sure. Did you happen to find that, Marissa? Just 1 second. Yeah, I do want to hear that because there were a couple of phone messages where he had also was telling her not to get medical treatment in another incident because that may have been, he was saying, they may have perceived it the wrong way or.
Well, I think by law, if you show up with signs of, physical battery, that has to be reported.
Well, you know what's crazy is like I get asked questions about like domestic abuse all the time when I go to the doctor. It's just a standard. Because you're in a safe room, you're by yourself, and then
I get it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they ask you, could Marvin Hagler beat up the world?
Casey used to be afraid of Marvin Hagler because this is when you were a little child.
I was a little child. I thought he could beat up the world.
Beat up the whole
So
world.
But then
Now
Sugar
that
Ray
we
Leonard beat him up, and I was like, okay, it's not so bad.
Now that we have you alone, do you believe Marvin Hagler could beat up the world? I do. All right, wait right here.
All right, well, we'll wait to see if we get that audio. I've got some other things to get to. Keke Palmer's ex-boyfriend, Darius Jackson, has filed a counterclaim after the Nope actor was granted a domestic violence restraining order against him in November. In court documents, Jackson claimed Palmer was the primary aggressor during their relationship and accused her of punching, hitting, and choking him. He also claimed that she called him over 200 times and sent him over 50 emails in late 2021 when he told her that he would not spend the night with her. And this comes after the actor accused Jackson of physical and emotional abuse and submitted screenshots from a surveillance video that showed he trespassed into my home without my knowledge or consent, threatened me, and physically attacked me. So there's another one over there as well.
Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Where
No.
the woman can be aggressive and be the abuser. It happens all the time. From Laurel House, Preston.
Sure.
That can happen.
There definitely is. There are precedents that are set for that. Yes. Let's see here. Jeremy Renner announced on Instagram on Sunday that he will be releasing his new, quote, musical diary titled Wait on January 1st, 1 year after he suffered 30-plus broken bones in that snowplow accident. He had written new musical diary, story of life, death, recovery, all things learned along the way. Wait till January 1st, and I can't wait to share more with you. He's a talented musician.
He's actually pretty good.
Yeah. So that will be, I guess it's just all about what happened to him, and he's handling it musically. I'm not really sure because he calls it a musical
I got
diary.
crushed by a snowplow, and boy, did it hurt.
What kind
It
of
writes itself,
Yeah,
really.
it's absolutely.
Yeah.
and
Just flows right out.
Age of Ultron, he's holding drumsticks, is he not? In the
I believe
party
so,
scene.
yeah.
Is he?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because he says something like,
Hope I don't get crushed by a snowplow.
I think that's what he said years before it actually happened.
That becomes the new catchphrase.
Yeah.
Hoping to get crushed by a snowplow.
That's his thing.
Rolls
Yeah.
off the tongue.
And Hulk smash. Hope I don't get crushed by a snowplow.
Wow, this is interesting. Celine Dion's health condition is progressing in like a bad way.
I'm sorry to hear this.
Yeah, 1 year after sharing, she was diagnosed with stiff person syndrome. The singer can no longer control certain body movements, according to her sister Claudette.
I think somebody that I know passed away from this.
No kidding.
This is so. When I originally heard this, I thought it was a version of scleroderma, which is where the skin hardens up.
Right.
But this is different, is it not?
I believe it's different,
It's
Steve.
more like almost like a living rigor mortis kind of thing.
Her sister said she doesn't have control over her muscles. What breaks my heart is that she's always been disciplined. She always worked hard, and our mother always told her, you're going to do it well. You're going to do it properly. She said it's true, that in both our dreams and hers, the goal is to return to the stage. In what capacity, I do not know.
What was that? The movie about? It was a comedian, and
Yeah, it was Bob Saget's sister. Is that what you're talking about?
that died of.
Yes, Bob Saget's
Was
sister.
it
Yeah, in fact,
this?
No, it was
No.
scleroderma. It was what Steve was talking about.
No.
Yes,
All right, finish what
That's
you were
not
saying.
Okay, what were you going to say?
It's a movie about a comedian. It's not Bob Saget's sister.
Oh, okay.
And I think that I think it is the same thing.
so the comedian had this condition, you think?
Yes.
Oh,
Let me see
I'm
if I
not
can-
familiar, Kathy.
Not a
let me see if I can-
documentary or a movie?
No,
movie?
it was a movie, but it was
Okay.
based on their life.
Interesting. All right. In May, Celine canceled her Courage World Tour due to the rare neurological disorder, which can cause painful muscle spasms and stiffness. According to Claudette, their sister Linda had been living with Celine in Vegas after she receives care from doctors who specialize in stiff person syndrome. Although the Grammy winner focuses on resting, she was recently able to spend some quality time with her 22-year-old son, Renee Charles, and 13-year-old twins, Nelson and Eddie, who she shared with her late husband, Renee and Jaleel. I'm sorry. And she and her sons headed to a hockey game as the Canadiens played the Golden Knights. But
The Big Sick.
The Big Sick. Oh, you're talking about...
Mel Nanjiani?
Yes, right. Yeah, it was his wife.
Was it
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Casey.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it was the same disease.
I think his wife had cancer.
No.
It was stiff person disease? All right.
It's either.
Why don't you contact your research department?
says mysterious illness in the log line.
Okay.
here,
Yeah,
so don't
I
know.
think it was this. I think it was the same thing.
And it's a true story. That's
Yes.
basically what happened to him and his wife.
Nick is now looking up a wiki article about that so we can.
We go now to the research portion of the
straighten this
show.
out. Uh-huh.
I'm going to call over to the right side of the console. Right side as I face Preston.
Yes.
Research department, any findings on this story that Kathy sparked? Nick, I'll go to you.
Ray Romano's in the movie.
Ray Romano, of course. Everybody loves Raymond. Has that kind of weird thing that he does.
Okay, I think she had something called still disease.
Still disease.
This is what Celine has is stiff disease. So I think it's different.
Then there's Stifler's disease, which is you can't stop watching American Pie.
All right, so it says here adult onset Still's disease, which is a rare type of inflammatory arthritis.
Sounds similar.
Yeah, I think it's seen in children a lot. Still
Okay.
disease, which sometimes is why it's hard to diagnose because they don't often see it in adults.
Wow.
I don't like this stuff.
No.
You know, Holly Hunter's in that movie, too.
The Big Sick?
We go now to the research console. Nick, you found some information concerning Kathy's movie.
I just think she's delightful.
Holly Hunter, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, big fan.
Great performance in broadcast news.
Yes.
Raising Arizona.
Raising Arizona, great.
Yeah.
Kathy, why don't you look up some additional films that Holly Hunter's
Okay,
appeared in?
all right. Yeah, no problem.
She was Elastigirl in The Incredibles.
She
Yeah.
was Elastigirl,
Yeah.
absolutely, and of course she was the senator in Batman v Superman.
Did she drink piss, by the way, right before they blew it up?
No, she didn't get to drink to piss; they just blew her up.
Yeah. Granny's peach tea.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Thank you, research department here.
Thank you, research department here on the WMMR Research Console.
Big Bang Theory actress Kate Micucci has announced that she is cancer-free after
Yay!
undergoing
Oh,
the
that's great.
surgery earlier this month.
my
She said, I
goodness.
have great news, which is that I am cancer-free. The surgery last week went great. All reports came back that it worked. I don't need any other treatment.
It's the best. It's the
Yeah.
best.
She had this done. It was for lung cancer on December 8th and never smoked before, but she ended up with lung cancer. She said, big thank yous to all my doctors, nurses, everyone that took just really great care of me. Thanks to figuring it out early because I'm very, very, very lucky and I know that. And I'm just grateful that things worked out as they did.
Now, she says they caught it very early, which is great news.
Yes.
Yeah, which makes a big difference.
Yes. Deadline reports that America Ferrara will receive the See Her Award at the 29th Annual Critics' Choice Award.
She just picked up the See You Next Tuesday award.
No, really?
Yeah, she did.
Wow.
Recipients from previous years include Viola Davis, Kristen Bell, Zendaya, Halle Berry, and Janelle Monáe. The Ugly Betty actor was also nominated for the Critics' Choice Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Barbie.
She's really good in Barbie.
Yeah, Chuck Handler is set to host the event, which will air on the CW on January 4th.
We had her in the studio.
We did.
Yes.
American Ferrara? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I
She was
forget why, though.
delightful.
I
Delightful.
don't remember that.
Delightful.
I was sad to see this. We knew it was coming, but HBO's Real Sports has wrapped up. Brian Gumbel is calling it quits in his 29th year. The final 90-minute episode premieres tonight, by the way, 10 p.m. Eastern. Sports was a lens through which the magazine looked at the manner of issues, winning awards for pieces on corruption at the International Olympic Committee, labor issues as Qatar prepared for the World Cup, concussions in sports, and children forced to be jockeys for camel races in the Middle East. These are the types of things they would cover. Real Sports told some inspirational stories like Mary Carrillo's profile of the Hoyts, a father who ran marathons pushing the wheelchair over his cerebral palsy-afflicted son, and flashed humor. Gumbel said, I'm okay. Before taping the last episode, he said, I'm sad, but everything has to end at some point, and this is the right time for this to end.
Does this open the door for Pierre to assume the...
Maybe.
Yeah.
While the show's exit makes sense, the fear is that a form of sports journalism is leaving for good, too. Increasingly, sports news comes from outlets owned by leagues like the NFL or MLB networks.
It's true.
Or networks whose business depends greatly on winning rights deals. Gumbel said the show tried to do some things in sports journalism that no one else was doing. And I think it was one of the few avenues that could honestly explore issues without having to worry about ratings or sponsorships or relationships. Right. He said, I've been on the other side of that coin. He said, I've worked for networks who were what they would now call the broadcast partner of a sports entity. And you'd only be a fool to think that you can follow any story wherever it wants if it collides with that relationship. He said life doesn't work that way. When athletes agreed to appear on Real Sports, they knew that they were agreeing to a challenging interview, much like 60 Minutes. Guests knew that what they were signing up for, which is what I love about that show. I mean, it's journalism.
Yeah,
you know?
which is scarce.
It's not just the game, and so it's going to be sadly missed. I hope they can find a way. Some other group can create a show like that. It's really well done.
Can the Fraggles take over it?
They could possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe,
right?
but who's going to lead? Right? Is it going to be Gobo? Is it going to be Boober? I don't think so.
I think Boober.
Boober.
Yeah.
All right.
We go now to Boober
All right.
with some developments in that Holly Hunter story.
All right. Then we have the clip now of Jonathan Majors.
There we go.
I wanted to hear this. So he was on the phone with her, saying what.
Explain, yes.
How it's important for her to support such a great man.
To be like, I believe...
MLK's wife.
Right.
And other notables. All right, here we go.
Then how dare you come home drunk and disturb the peace of our house when we have a plan? I would like to get to the point where your friends know what job I'm on and go, I think Grace is going to be out of commission. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I won't.
No. Do you understand that? Because that team, that unit, right? Grace has to be in a certain mindset to support Coretta Scott King. You know who that is? That's Martin Luther King's wife. Michelle Obama, Barack Obama's wife.
I know. I'm not. I shouldn't have gone out. I'm sorry.
Let me just lay it out for you, right? If I'm just gonna say this. My temper, my trauma, blah, all that said, right? And I'm not saying I'm a great man. A great man. Wow. I am doing things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. That's real. I'm not being a dick about it. I didn't ask for it. I've worked, and that's the situation. The woman that supports me, that I support, that needs to be a great woman and make sacrifices the way that man is making for her and for them ultimately. Last night, 2 nights ago, you did not do that. You did not do that.
I can't take it.
I know.
I hear it differently than you guys. I completely hear it differently. Like, listen, is it a bad thing to think highly of yourself?
Yeah.
I just when you're an ass.
No, Kath. Did you see the footage? I just watched it. He ran away from her for 5 blocks. She chased him for 5 blocks. She was assaulting him in the car. He pushes her into the car, which is why he was not indicted, convicted, because he pushed her back in the car, and then he runs away from her because she was assaulting him, and now like his career is over. I mean, listen, I was not in the courtroom at all. and I'm not supporting domestic violence, but this is, and then I hear that, I don't know. Oh my God, I don't know. I feel
to me, that sounds like someone who's very, very, very high on themselves and very inclined to be abusive. That's what I hear.
Okay. I hear something a little bit different.
I am a great man. You need to understand now.
Yeah, it's cringeworthy.
By the way, there's a case to be made that on her end, she was doing, as we call the Mel Gibson sort of, that sort of thing. But still doesn't mean, you wouldn't say, well, then, the dynamic with Mel was bad as well.
Right.
And the dynamic with him is bad.
But again, like the verbiage, like when you read it, he was convicted of the least charge.
No, I have to disagree with that.
I know.
The least charge. He was convicted of what is it?
Third degree assault.
It was assault.
Yeah.
Which is him pushing her back in the car because
there
she's
was more
kicking
than
his
that.
ass.
There were more injuries than that, though.
Yeah.
She didn't just simply have, I was pushed. She had a laceration on behind her ear. She had other stuff that led to that was some sort of physical interaction. So whatever it was, you wouldn't say, don't go to the hospital with those pushing injuries. There was a lot more that was involved. I don't know the specifics on the timeline, but apparently there was enough when he had that one encounter with her. He said, if you go to the hospital with these injuries, it's going to impact my...
It's going to look bad, right?
Yeah.
Not like it is bad, but like if you go, I don't know. Maybe I should just shut the F up. Maybe I should just shut the F up.
Listen.
I just don't. I can't believe you don't hear the narcissism in that.
No, I'm not saying he's not narcissistic, but I'm also not saying that he is right or wrong.
That's what narcissists do. They make the other person feel like they're always in the wrong and that they're this great person and they should be honored to be with them.
And
I guess it sounds to me like everything that he's saying is gaslighting her into making her feel like she
is less than.
Yeah. And he's goading her into
or he's saying, don't I'm trying to do great things.
I'm Kang.
I'm trying to do great things here. And
I'm trying.
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
This is weird. It's tough.
He sounded like he's pretty controlling.
Do you now rest your case?
No, I do not rest my
He
case.
said it's tough.
Thank you, Your Honor. I asked the jury to consider what I've said here.
And the jury has, and he's been convicted.
Yes.
And if you believe in our system, then that's the deal. Tis what it is.
And if you believe in peanut butter, clap your hands.
Yeah. And if you believe in life after love.
Yeah.
Oh.
You believe in Kang after love.
All right. Okay. Let's.
I'm just saying, it's like we've got like 30 seconds of and we've all formed our opinions.
You know me,
on this.
I don't jump to conclusions. But I hear this and I'm like,
I guess you're right.
You can't help but form an opinion. You formed an opinion. We
all formed an opinion.
So,
all God's children for him.
Yeah. And Wu-Tang is for the children.
Absolutely.
Let us not forget that. All right, I'll end with this before we get to the clips. Netflix is looking to expand the universe of its hit series Wednesday with a spinoff about Uncle Fester in development. Now, this is just rumor. There's been some chit-chat amongst some of the higher-ups, apparently. Talks about the potential spinoff, which was first reported by Bloomberg, comes the show is preparing for production on the highly anticipated second season, which will begin in spring of 2024. The article emphasized that a potential series is not set in stone. Writers would need to outline the story, and the streamer would need to negotiate contracts with talent and align schedules. It was played by Fred Armisen.
I'd rather,
schedule.
to be honest, I'd rather have him be part of the Wednesday story. I don't. I think Wednesday has more potential for stepping off than,
right?
You know.
They'd have to get a second season in of Wednesday and have something happen for it to warrant that, I think.
I don't want the writing talent split up.
Yeah. They added that Netflix is eager to establish a pipeline of Addams Family-themed programs to build off of the success of Wednesday. But
here you go.
He was kind of, he was in and out on that series. I think he was in like 2 episodes.
And he was quirky and he was great.
Yeah.
He was wonderful. You know how there's one of the big stars of the thing. Thing is amazing in Wednesday. You know, the hand is just tremendous.
Yeah, Thing was awesome. All right, we are going to hit the clips now. Here we go. Today alone, 3 of Lacey Chabert's movies are scheduled to air on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah!
In this clip, the queen of holiday films talks about her love of the genre.
I think what I'm most proud of for all the films I've done with Hallmark is you're going to be left with a good feeling. It's going to be uplifting. And I always try to that the can see parts of themselves in so that they can relate to the journey because we've all been there. And that's the feeling I want to give people when they watch my movies.
Oh, yeah. It'll be my regular Saturday night thing, baby.
She's adorable.
Oh, yeah.
But my question is she talks about creating these different characters. I mean,
They're the exact same.
they're the same character.
And that's okay. Every character is the exact
There
same.
might be a different background, a different scenario.
I'll tell you what I love
It's
about
the same gal every
She
time.
does Wounded a little bit better than the other ones.
Okay.
She does Wounded a bit better.
Okay.
She does, she got the lisp. She's not drop dead impossible gorgeous. She's
cute.
Really
cute.
And that's what works for
And
me.
the other one that I kind of like that is in that way, in that vein as well,
Yeah.
is Jodie Sweetin.
Jodie Sweetin as well.
She's cute.
Right,
She's
yeah.
attractive,
Right.
but more cute than, like they had Brooke Burke on there one time.
Yes.
It was
Too much.
Too good looking.
Too much.
For that.
Yeah, there's no way.
I don't believe.
She's giving it up to live in a shack in the middle of the Christmas tree business.
Yeah. Christmas Waltz, A Merry Scottish Christmas,
Saw it.
and A Royal Christmas
Saw it.
air today on the Hallmark Channel. Did you see Christmas Waltz?
Yes, if that's the one where she is.
How do you even know the titles
names
of these
of them.
things?
Yeah, I think that's the one where she is a dancer.
Okay.
Yeah, but she it's the hot dance instructor.
Okay.
No, Steve. That's a Deadly Tango.
Oh, is that a Dilly Django?
Yes.
Wait.
Well, I don't know.
That's the dancing detective, A Deadly Tango?
No, Steve could be just as right. Who cares?
Okay.
It's the same movie.
Yeah, it's the same damn movie.
They just
over.
change the letters on the sign. They get up on the ladder.
Let's not split hairs over relationship errors, Christmas movies, and
Wait.
the plot details.
Here's something in her credits. Nick pulled up her IMDb. Walmart Black Friday deals, Jingle Bell Rocket.
Oh, that's the
commercial.
Yes, the Mean Girls commercial.
Yeah.
They put commercials in IMDb now?
You remember in Not Another Teen Movie, she was the Jennifer Love Hewitt object of everyone's desire, and her skill was she apparently was she gave handies readily. That was
I don't remember that.
Another teen movie. Not Another Teen Movie.
All right, let's do the next clip. In the latest Aquaman movie, the King of Atlantis seeks out an unlikely ally to keep him from the total devastation that Black Manta threatens on his kingdom. And here, Jason Momoa talks about teaming up with your enemies on and off screen for the greater good.
You don't want to preach, but at the same time, you want to really just go like, it's not some outside force. It's like, if we melt the ice caps, what's it going to do to our planet? So being able to put that in movies, it's kind of neat because we're not going to be able to fight about our differences if we don't have a planet. So it's like, if you like fighting and you like doing all that, we're going to have to like put that aside for a second just so we can go like recognize that we're all bleed the same blood.
Shut the f*** up!
Aquaman and Lost Kingdom will hit theaters on Friday, by the way.
I'm curious about this because you are not seeing a lot of commercials.
Right.
And this is a big budget movie. Yeah. James Wan, who directed the $1 billion plus first one, is the director. I don't know what they're doing here at this, you know?
You know what's bizarre, man? It's kind of like with Ant-Man, Quantumania. There were too much in the quantum realm. This is too much underwater. Yeah. Doesn't that sound weird? I know it's Aquaman.
No. I agree. After a while, your eyes just roll white because you're like, what am I seeing here?
Yeah.
So Quantumania was just one for me where I'm like, oh, you gotta stop this with the, that volume, that special effects wall that they have. And it was just too much.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
All right, we're watching the trailer now. There's a lot of stuff actually here that I didn't see where they're not underwater. So,
but I'm gonna see it. I'm a big fan. I enjoyed the first one.
All right, that's the entertainment report for this morning. We have a lot to get to. Today's Tuesday, Tattoo Tuesday. So we have a chance to win a Preston and Steve Show themed tattoo. Text the word tattoo to 39333. You'll be in the running for a $350 gift certificate for Floating World Tattoo and Piercing. You can find them at 729 South Street in Philadelphia. So you might want to do that now. But I'm going to do this now. Yes, we have two of them left. Let's give away a Christmas Miracle Pass.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah. All right. We'll take caller number 22 at 215-263-WMMR. By this time tomorrow, You'll be sitting in the legendary Colonial Theater in Phoenixville with us.
Yes.
And we'll already be underway getting some great prizes out to our biggest fans. And we are stoked to do this once. It's our year-end celebration. And Phoenixville First is sponsoring it, as well as Miller Lite. So don't forget your ugly sweater. We have beer for a year from Miller Lite. And loads and loads of great prizes. In fact, we'll take call number 22, like I said, 215-263-WMMR. But just to mention, we've got stuff like Live Nation 2024 Summer Concert Lawn Passes.
Wow.
For the Freedom Mortgage Pavilion. That's the whole thing. We have a 10-person party at Bates Escape Rooms and laser tag. We've got stuff from Squeeze.com, from Joseph Anthony Retreat and Spa. We have floats and sauna sessions from Halcyon Floats. The Pisek Round Barbecue Fire Kits from Landis Block. Year supply of chocolate from Asher's Chocolates. We have loads of tons. It goes on and on and on. So you'll be in the running for it. Give us a call right now. Let's put you on that list. And we will see you tomorrow. We're going to take a break and be back in just a moment. Don't forget, Zack Snyder joining us on the program around 9 o'clock. We'll be right back.
I was 2?
Yeah.
Maybe under 2.
Yeah.
Coma, starved, contusions in the head, the whole night. But my mother, who found me randomly in the trash.
It's just
it's
amazing.
So she was a white woman from Wyoming. And her were down there in Greenville, Mississippi.
Which is like one of the poorest
in the country. You know, so they're teachers at Colorado State. And
right.
They heard Kennedy say, if you look back on this time in history, would you be able to be a white American that did something about the race problem?
Right.
So they wanted to do that. So they went down there and immunized kids and did that kind of stuff, and did voting drives. And they met my natural mom when they were doing those movements. They came back down there to pick up a program they were doing, and she was gone. You know, and my mother's nosy.
Right.
You know, she said she's gone. Well, where'd she go? And we think she went to Detroit, but she left her youngest baby at such and such a house. My mom is nosy and went to the house.
Right.
And the kids doing drugs in there. You know, it was an abandoned house. So she said something told me when I walked out the door to look under this big tire that was on the top of the trash, and I moved it, and your foot was there.
Oh my God!
My God!
You know, and she said she moved the trash and had a torn shirt on and said, "I will be president in 2-0," and the rest was torn.
Wow.
You know, it took me to the hospital. I stayed there 90 days. I lived, went to Fort Collins, Colorado, where I grew up until I was 5. Grew up on farms and meadows and
so all this time
animals and
with her.
With her, my sister.
Yeah. Okay.
My sister's was my same age. So we're twins, really, but she's blonde.
You related something. You relate something. You relate something and I saw I was also reading some interviews with you, and you brought up this point that I thought because you'd say, okay, cats can give birth to multiple colors, and you just thought that was you.
I thought that was me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm in farms and animals are everywhere. So we saw litters. Me and my kid's sister play with kittens and puppies and all the time. And, you know, I noticed that, you know, it could be a black cat. It would have a white one, speckled one.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 black ones, a brown one, you know, or a horse. Could be it could be a brown horse and have a white coat.
Yeah.
So I thought that, you know, that's how we are. You know what I mean? So I'm a brown one.
Right.
I'm a brown one of whatever we are.
It's such a pure,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Innocent concept.
Yeah, until we got to Washington, D.C.
How old were you then?
I was 5. And we moved in there in 68.
So you started like self-awareness around that age?
Oh, way self-awareness, boy. We moved there the week that King got shot.
Right.
So we moved in during the riots. Me and my sister on the ground, me and my brother, tear gas, you know, fires. And okay, so we settled in this inner city neighborhood in D.C. because they broke up, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of jobs in D.C. And we come out to play with the kids, you know, and they beat our ass, man.
Wow.
Every day. Every day. And they were calling my brother and my sister White Cracker. And calling me White Cracker Lover.
Because your mom was white.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just went to her and said, why are they calling me White Cracker Lover? I like graham crackers. You know? You know what I mean? Like
They're better. They taste better.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so sad though when like
You know
the
what I mean?
innocence is ruined.
Yeah, it's just like, so she said, well, that's what people our color call people. That's what people your color call people our color when they don't like them.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what color am I? She said, you're black. I said, no, I'm brown.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the crayons. She said, yeah, but that's what we call you anyway. And so then I moved out to it got so bad, we moved out to the suburbs of Wheaton, Maryland. That's the first time I heard the N-word.
Right.
I got the FCC note, by the way. Yeah.
So it got exponentially worse.
Yeah.
The suburbs,
that was
which
worse
you thought would
because
be...
I was being chased by grown men.
Yeah.
Saying, kill the Nick.
Yeah.
And I was barely getting in the house, and I'd be riding my bike, and a whole truckload of teenagers kill them.
Yeah.
You know? So I was running in the house, barely making it. They were throwing stuff through the window, shooting, and it was crazy. So
this is late 60s?
This is 69 now.
Okay.
I remember everything,
Yeah.
So I go to my mom and I go, who are these ends? We got to stay away from them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They must be really bad people.
Right.
Oh,
And that's when she said, that's what our people call your people when they don't like them. Our color. And I said, well, what color are you? She said, I'm white. I said, you're not white, you're like beige.
Kids are so literal.
This is the stupidest damn thing in the world. You guys are mad at each other for colors you not really are.
But in that innocent thing, you're speaking absolute truth.
Yeah, it's like the dumbest thing, you
Yeah.
know, but it is the world. So we moved to an integrated neighborhood, and this is a real story, and I'm sticking with it. The white teenagers chased me again.
Yeah.
Killed the neck.
Yeah.
But when the black teenagers came in front of me, the white teenagers went the other way.
Yeah.
And I've been black since that day.
Yeah. Right.
And it's been an education.
Right.
Well, so you
know what I mean?
you became going back to the earlier point. That's when you became aware of yourself, and that's when you got into the soul music and things of that nature. You're exposed to that.
I pretty much came aware of it as soon as I got to D.C.
Okay.
Because when I got to D.C., my mom is always make friends with everybody.
Right.
So my mom had all these black friends right away. So and I think she did it on purpose
to give you some culture.
She knew that I was talented, so she'd invite them over and put on James Brown.
Wow. Did she have any inclination towards this? Any musical capabilities or nothing?
My family is so far from music.
Yeah.
Cowboys from Wyoming.
Right.
But I was spoiled by them. All the love I got, and I was the spoiled child. And so I'd sing "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud."
Yeah.
Just because it was a song. But when I got in first grade, I put up the Black Power fist, doing the yeah, and I got in trouble,
so you were making up for lost time.
Hey, listen, my mom, she did it all on purpose.
Yeah.
This took me time to look back on it, but she came into that office, boy, and she looked at the principal and the teachers, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And they were like, "He put up the Black Power fist." She said, "So what? That's all he knows about himself right now. Now, if you want to teach him something new, teach him something new. He just learned the Pledge of Allegiance just like the other students. So teach him. That's what he knows about himself so far."
It's such a fascinating, unintentional experiment. In a bizarre way, not to call it an experiment, but it's something that is just and this is, by the way, let people know, again, living in color. What's funny about me, it's just a side promotion, but I just started it. It's riveting.
Tommy, is your mom still alive?
No.
Okay.
No.
When did she pass?
She passed away probably about 12 years ago.
Okay. What an
But
amazing
still
woman.
alive, boy.
I would love
Still
to talk
alive.
to her. Yeah.
Well, she got to see a lot of your success, though.
I'm her greatest accomplishment.
Yeah.
I'm her greatest accomplishment. That's the sweet reunion is about her coming back to me through my daughter.
So who are your inspirations on the musical side? Obviously, we know the comedy. We're going to talk about the comedy. But
I'd have to just say the Association, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Grand Funk, Parliament, Rick James, Cameo, Fleetwood Mac, Kansas. Carry on my wayward son. It's all in me, man. The Led Zeppelin Kool-Aid commercial. You need Kool-Aid. You need Kool-Aid. I ain't fooling. Want a whole lot of Kool-Aid. All right. Peter Frampton. Do you feel like I do?
Yeah.
That's
a wide exposure.
It's just, You know, it all came my way, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So the show that is tonight. What can we expect?
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
I'm mixing now music with comedy. The saxophonist I'm playing with is excellent. So I'm doing comedy and doing music at the same time.
So your history, obviously we know you from the skit comedy in Living Color and obviously the movies and other the characters you've done and so on and so forth. But your stand-up career was pretty robust, and you got into the Comedy Store. Mitzi Shore.
You been reading.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And you were on a bill with Richard
I thought
Pryor.
he owned the Sixers.
Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, when I first got in.
Wow.
So you're
finally got to the main room after 3 years of like hitting the pavement.
And the main room's where you wanted to ascend to the
that's
main
where you wanna
room.
be.
And so, be careful what you wish for. You end up on that bill, and you were middling for that.
Yep. And we all had the same time.
Explain what that was like. Give us a taste of that. I mean, you
that
have
was like
arguably the greatest comedic minds in stand-up of all time.
It was opportunity meets preparation and desperation. But I was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready. I'd been put through the fire. I was just about to go home from Hollywood. My mom sent me a couple of days earlier, those big legal pads that used to have the long yellow paper.
Yeah.
She put in magic marker. She folded up a $20 bill and put in magic marker. Don't leave, and I know you need the $20. And it was just a couple of days before this happened.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so I get on the stage, and I'm in between the two for 4 shows, and I got standing ovations, man.
Because the last thing, so I did stand up for a while. You would want to you'd want to be the MC, you'd want to be the opener, but you don't want to be anywhere near following one of those two. And yet you did. And Pryor himself kind of gave you a nice
Pryor
assessment.
came down to me, man. We were in a little hovel. The green room got the chicks and the food,
Right.
Ours looked like a closet, And he looked me up and down, shook his head, and looked me in the face. He said, "Man, you was a funny," and walked away.
God.
I called my mom. I was like, she said, "I told you not to leave." I told you not to leave.
That's so
that
cool.
was it. But I have faith in mankind.
Yeah.
It happened here in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Not the smack.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. A woman died at my show here.
Whoa.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
And I have faith in mankind. I invited her.
Yeah.
So I went to a check cashing place on a Sunday to try to cash my check, and the place was closed. But there was still people in there. How they lock it, but there's
Right.
Just lock it behind you because we're closed and no one knows it. So the people saw me and were like, "Let him in." And I came in and I was in line, and the people were like, "You know who he is?" And she leaned over and she said, "Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for coming." I was like, "No, thanks for letting me in."
Yeah.
And so she's doing her stuff, and she said, "What are you doing in town?" And I said, "I'm doing a show." She said, "Oh, man, wow, you have a show tonight? You made my whole birthday coming here." I said, "Why don't you come tonight?" She comes with her 2 kids, like 20, 22, 23 years old. 15 minutes into the show, massive heart attack.
Wow.
Whoa.
No one knows this, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the team is working on them. We walk everybody out. They say she's gone. I think people knew. But there wasn't a dryer in the house.
Yeah.
Nobody thought that was funny at all.
Right.
And, we did another show. They left it on me. You want to do another show? I said, yeah, we have to do it. Our job is happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Our job is happy. So we need to, we're like a fireman. Theirs is fire.
Yeah.
Ours is happy.
WMMR.
Kathy had mentioned a little bit of the flooding on Kelly Drive. Those of you who drive by the Schuylkill River, did you notice how full that was yesterday?
I can't remember ever seeing it higher.
That's what I was thinking, too. And I know there have been worse floods around, but it looked dangerously high to me yesterday.
There were stretches, Preston, where you're kind of low on Schuylkill Expressway, right near where the river is, and it was so high and so close to the level of the road. And there's I don't know what they're doing across from the Schuylkill River there. Like it's sort of in between Manayunk and like Mequon or whatever. I don't know how anything could ever be built there because the river was so high in that stretch.
Yeah.
You're just begging to have your place flooded out if you're at that level.
Well, it's like all those new apartment complexes along, I mean, from Manayunk all the way through in Conshohocken, in Bridgeport. Like, they're right on the river.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the Zillow. It's called the Flood City. Is the name of the con-
Flood
yeah.
City.
Right, yeah.
Now, a lot of those places are up on stilts.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
they're built up.
Yes, of
but-
course. So
One's on a unicycle.
But still, you remember when Conchi flooded a couple of was it Memorial Day or Labor Days ago? I mean, their people's cars were like floating away.
Yeah. I clearly remember.
It looked pretty freaky driving out yesterday. So, but no rain in the forecast up into the weekend, so we're good. I haven't looked at. We were. I guess Christmas Day going to be a tad bit mild, right?
Yeah, about 50 degrees,
That's
48,
nice.
50 degrees. Yeah,
I don't mind that at all.
everything's from what I understand, calm for the next couple of days.
Very
so we're good.
I saw a couple of compiled stat lists to pass along to you. The year end, they always float out these, here's how things have been over the past year compared to the last 2 or 3 years, at this point in time. So I thought I would pass along some good news.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear good news.
Sure.
Apparently, crime in the United States has declined significantly over the last year, according to new FBI data, which contradicts widespread national perception that law breaking and violence are on the rise. That's good news.
Yeah.
And the article goes on to say that a lot of our perception has to do with the news and social media and what we're seeing regularly. And if it bleeds, it leads.
Sure.
That type of thing. And apparently, it's not statistically that way. We're just
What's the breakdown?
Seeing it that way. So 77% of Americans believe crime rates are worsening, but they are mistaken, according to this statistics. The FBI, which compares crime rates in the third quarter of 2023 to the same period last year, found that violent crime dropped 8%, while property crime fell 6.3% to what would be its lowest level since 1961. That's according to criminologist Jeff Asher, who analyzed the FBI numbers. Murder apparently plummeted in the United States this year at one of the fastest rates of decline ever recorded, they found. And every category of major crime except auto theft declined. Apparently that went up a little bit.
Yep.
Because we did see like those Kias and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that went up. But we all perceive that crime is up. They broke it down by politics. 92% of Republicans, 78% of independents, and 58% of Democrats believe that crime is rising.
So what about breakdown between, say, rural areas and urban areas and cities?
I don't see that in this particular study, but the analysis says it's an overwhelming number of news media stories and viral videos that are kind of flooding our world. The most recent annual report released in October covered 94% of the country and found that violent crime in 2022 fell back to pre-pandemic levels, with murder dropping 6.1%. Asher maintains a separate database of murder in big cities, which found that murder is down 12.7% this year after rising during the pandemic. And other analysts say that the natural tendency of the news media to highlight disturbing crime stories and the tendency of those stories to go viral on social media present false but persuasive a persuasive picture. And like, all the ransacking of the retail theft and all that stuff.
That is going on.
While those are happening, you would think it's happening every day by what we're seeing, and it's rarer than you might think.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was good news.
I agree with you.
I mean, it's nice to hear that maybe things aren't quite as horrible as we are seeing in our day-to-day exposure to images and video and all that stuff. So that's good news.
Yeah,
I'm
the good news guy.
Yeah. Fewer teens are having sex.
That's bad news.
Is that bad news?
No. That's actually, I saw a study that's probably germane to this, Preston, that the days of the sort of American Pie movie kind of mindset has diminished greatly. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? They're saying that it's still there.
Right.
It's not job one.
Well, yeah, and also
good way to put it.
The humor there is a little dicey, I guess. Like, oh, should I be laughing at this? But I was actually having this thought yesterday. I was thinking about high school sweethearts, and essentially what you've told your kids is like, we started banging in high school. You know, I mean, essentially, that's kind of like what the message out there, the underlying sort
when
of
you
message
sat down
out
with
there.
your kids, they said, we started banging in high school.
I did
Listen,
not because
okay.
my wife and I are not high school sweethearts.
I'll convey a story. We had Curtis Armstrong yesterday. Got done reading his memoir. He was talking about on the set of Revenge of the Nerds 2.
Yeah.
Nerds in Paradise.
Right.
So the guy who played Wormser, the young kid, the young nerd,
Yeah.
by the time they did Nerds 2, he was 15 years old. And apparently a couple of cast members found out he was a virgin, and they wanted to help him along the way.
Oh, man.
So they introduced him to a young woman who was older, was definitely an adult, to show him the ways. And in that time,
yes,
was not really considered, like an illegal act, even though by definition it is. But it was accepted, and I'm like, that would not wash now. No way.
No way.
Judge things in their
15
own
years old.
time.
Yeah,
There were
no.
a ton of teen sex comedies that involved that exact scenario.
Totally.
Ton of them.
Yeah.
Major movie company releases.
A lot of it, and even like older relatives, it was almost their job to try to help out the young man, 15, 16, 17 years old.
That was it.
To become a man.
Yes.
And
that would be major plot point in a
and
movie.
show them the way. Absolutely. But apparently the sex rate is dropping amongst boys. Young adults are increasingly using contraception, according to the federal report, which was released just last week. So,
are they using it for sexual purposes or just because it feels good?
I don't really know.
I just have a rubber on it. Feels good.
Oh my God.
This feels
so
it
good.
feels
Snug.
Yeah. Form fitting.
Absolutely. Ribbed for someone's pleasure.
All right, so 38.7% of boys and 40.5% of girls between 15 and 19 had engaged in heterosexual sex before marriage. So that's 15 to 19 years of age. 38% of boys and 40% of girls did do it. So that's still pretty fair amount.
I don't know how to judge things these days. Yeah.
The percentage of sexual
How many of those kids were having sex and looting a CVS at the same time?
The percentage of sexually active boys have dropped since 2015 when 44%, so it's 38% now, 44% said they had sex. Researchers said now girls' sexual activity was more consistent over time, though the overall numbers dropped in 2019. In 2002, 45% of girls reported they had sex.
Could it be possible that the sex has dropped because all of the contraception is now locked behind cabinets in the pharmacy?
I wonder if the COVID stuff has had anything to do with it. It's kind of scaring people away just a tad.
No, there was less that than in this article that I read, Case, than just the amount of time spent sort of in isolation and not socializing stalled the sort of benchmarks you would go through in school, like, Preston used to be, did you get to first base? Did you get those things were sort of there.
I feel like we're going to see a resurge, so maybe the numbers are down right now, but give it 5 or 10 years and it's going to be back to where it was.
What were they predicting? The horny, the post-explosion
Like
from
a baby boom?
Yeah. So we'll see.
Hey, Press, are you the only one in this room that lost their virginity in high school?
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, you weren't in high school
No,
either?
I was 18. I graduated.
Okay.
And it was that summer of graduate. Yeah, I know. Marissa's looking at me like, you? Yeah, man. I was.
It was the 80s?
It took a while. Oh, I wanted to. Oh, my God, did I want to? There was a time or two I chickened out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I had the opportunity, and I was like, for whatever reason, because you haven't done it yet.
Oh, I was high school, and it was a symphony of desperate, screwed up, unpleasant. Like I'm like, what am I doing? Am I doing this right? It was.
So you did lose it in high
yes,
school.
but it was nerve wracking.
Okay.
Bizarrely, you know what? I had
I don't savor the memory.
I had a fear of. I didn't want to give in and just do it with somebody to do it because I had a fear of that person would now all of a sudden want to be in a committed relationship with me when I really didn't have those feelings for them. You know what I mean?
I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
In a,
really?
I thought
you
I
were being
was.
used.
You look at this man meat. Who doesn't want this? Especially at that age. Boy, was I a catch.
But I didn't want, out of Wedding Crashers, I didn't want stage 5 clinger. I felt, and it was, so I held off. And
I think, listen, again, we've said many times, and it's our job to dispense wisdom that you, if you're a younger person, are supposed to summarily ignore. So, but yeah, if you can be with that right person, it's a wonderful thing. I mean, I don't live in mortal regret of that, but I probably, could have waited.
All right. Here are the top reasons teenagers provided why they have not had sex, in case you were curious. Among girls, 32.5% said it was against religion or morals.
Okay.
25% said that they hadn't found the right person yet.
Can I guess the last percentage?
Yes.
YouTube.
No. 15.9% said they didn't want to get pregnant.
Oh, okay.
There was a joke on SNL that there's just a nationwide shortage of skanks. It's a Michael Che joke.
Skank is a great word.
Yeah.
Is a great word.
What is the male equivalent of a skank?
Oh.
A skank.
Does it go across?
That's a good question.
Dirtbag.
Dirtbag.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Among boys, their reason for not having had sex. 35.3% said they hadn't found the right person yet, so that's number one for them. Not the
Skanky whore.
More morals and religion. 26.2 said sex was against their religion or morals, and 11% said that they did not want to get a female pregnant.
What percentage said repeat the question?
They didn't indicate that in this. Teenagers were least likely to choose from their reasons for not having sex. Don't want to get a sexually transmitted disease.
Kind of into that.
So that didn't care. Yeah.
I'd like to take gonorrhea out for a spin.
Yeah, man, syphilis sounds fun.
It sounds good.
You guys know that
Can I talk to you for a minute?
You've seen the gonorrhea billboard right by the stadiums on 95.
No.
Oh, yeah.
What does it say?
I hate gonorrhea.
No. It's an iceberg, and it says like gonorrhea is just like the tip of the iceberg. So there's a whole bunch of, I guess, other stuff that's
really. I've
under
not
the
seen
surface.
this case.
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's right by the. It's on 95, right by the Lincoln Financial
I
Field.
wonder how many people think that's a movie.
Gonorrhea.
When's that opening?
Yeah. All right, hang on. I want to go to Laura. Works at a high school. Hey, Laura. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry
Hey.
to bother you at work.
Nah, what's up, Laura?
So I sound like an old lady saying this, but I really think the cell phone usage and the social media and all of that stuff is like keeping kids from actually being together, especially like boys and girls in high school.
Laura, that's what this article said. That you brought up one of the main points. And again, it's an article. It's the information I just was reading, but they said exactly what you just said. It is
They are so separated, the boys and the girls, and they are so shy to actually interact with each other in person. It's crazy. It's I feel like when I was in middle school and high school, you really had no choice. But now they also have access to adult websites in their pocket.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's an outlet.
They also have these standards of what they, I hear in the hallway all the time, how ugly girls are, or she's not a 10 or things like that, because they have
skewed.
all of this access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
Reality.
we've also been doing that for ever and ever.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
We didn't need the internet to judge people's.
However,
It's hard to
it is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare now and then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clearly, because we have we have experience now.
I understand you
know
can
what
say
I
the
mean?
more the things change, the more they are the same. But this is a different dynamic.
yeah. There's this,
Yeah.
Oh, we're losing you, Laura. All right.
And a lot of people have boyfriend and girlfriends that they haven't even met because they have boyfriends and girlfriends online.
Yeah. No, that can happen for sure.
And they're being catfished.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
It was pretty funny. My youngest went to a dance on Friday night, and so we went to this house for pictures. And man, there were a lot of people there. Right? It was, I would say, 15 to 20 boys and their dates, and all the boys were on one side of the house and all the girls were on another side of the house. So even though they were there and supposed to be there with their dates and introducing people to it, they weren't doing that.
Did you start a dance off?
I did not start a dance off. No, I ended up running into an old friend, and I talked to that person for a while instead.
This is what age?
This is freshman year.
It's like that scene in West Side Story, where, with John Astin. He tries to get everyone dancing. The Hispanic students and the Jets and the Sharks, and trying to get them to break barriers, and it doesn't work.
I'm trying to remember how mingling happened at that age, freshman year, whether or not we were all separated like that.
But it's also weird because this was an all boys school, and so like they.
Yeah.
And the girls that were there went to a whole bunch of different schools. So it wasn't like they were all old friends,
Like first time meeting, essentially?
A lot of them, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, so my daughter was there, and when we were going into the house, she knew her date.
Yeah.
And she knew one other girl, and that was it.
Yeah.
And like the other 40 people that were there, like she didn't know who they were.
See, when I was a kid, it's all, or I go to dances, all the people I worked with at the sweatshop.
Right.
So I knew everybody.
You knew each other.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyhow, teenagers are having less sex. And then one last list that I saw, which was interesting. So we already know that we as a species are getting heavier, but did you know we're also getting shorter?
Yes.
National Health Interview Survey from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention split the rankings by gender. Among women, the tallest are public officials, a category that includes top executives as well as legislators, and a broad category that includes writers, artists, entertainers, and athletes. Among men, the tallest are, again, public officials, who share that distinction with sales representatives.
So people who are larger in stature are either politicians or salespeople?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because we choose them.
Yes, yeah.
And that's part of why. And we still see them as authoritative.
Who's the shortest president?
That was,
Madison.
hang on a second here. I have that information here.
James Madison, right?
Yeah, I believe you're right, Nick.
Was he 4'7"?
Did you just know that?
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry. Well, it says here, we last picked a president of below average height. This is not the shortest.
Okay.
But the last time we picked a president of below average height for his era, William McKinley.
Hi.
In 1896.
How tall was he?
I don't know.
He was 3'8".
It was funny because I actually asked this question in Quizzo a couple of months ago at my kid's school, and I had to be very, very specific that standing, because people are like, well, FDR is technically the shortest because he's always
He's in a
sitting.
wheelchair. Yeah, that's really not how you reason those things.
So they're saying the reason that public officials and sales representatives are chosen is essentially it's bias. The most diminutive occupations hold another clue. The shortest men work on farms, while the shortest women clean.
Huh.
Both professions hire the highest share of immigrant workers for their respective genders, and Americans who were born outside of the country tend to be shorter than folks who were born here. It's one of the biggest height gaps that was seen in this particular study.
So I'm just throwing this out there as a general question. What country yields the tallest people?
That I don't know, Steve. I would gather
Tallandia?
Scandinavians are tall. And,
Scandinavians.
So this says as we hit our 50s, both men and women start getting shorter. And the share of American workers 55 or older has nigh on doubled since 1994.
It does happen. I was walking under my cat the other day, and I said, man, I have gotten short.
So these are the ones that are, revealing their information through jobs, and that's where they got all this info from.
Dutch people are the world's tallest.
Okay.
Dutch.
There you go.
Those clogs, those wooden clogs.
Yeah, must be at
10 inches.
They take those into consideration.
They do.
All right. Yeah, the Netherlands. 5 feet. The average is 5 feet.
That's the average
5'7".
penis.
Mm-hmm. The average height is 5'7". Wow.
Almost 5'8". Yeah, 7.9.
5.79, so about 5'8".
Tallest president was Abe Lincoln. He was 6'4".
Wow. And he was tall.
And at that time, he was probably like a giant.
Yeah.
And Biden is 6 feet. I didn't
He's
realize.
a 6-footer?
Dude, Trump is 6'2".
I didn't think he was that tall. He didn't seem that tall.
Yeah,
to
you
me
know
when
what?
I met
Nick
him.
has pulled up the list of the presidents. The majority of them seem to be over 6 feet tall.
What
or
about
at least 5'11".
President Dikembe? How tall is he?
President Mutombo? I don't really know. All right, anyhow, just some interesting stats. And here's what I would like to do. I would like to give to you a $25 gift card from Wawa for Mini Melts.
Yeah!
Mini Melts ice cream we'll take caller number 10 at 215-263-WMMR. They are the official ice cream of the Preston and Steve Show. Do you know that?
Yeah, oh, damn well no.
Literally the coolest premium ice cream, flash frozen at negative 190 degrees Celsius. And you can head to the WMMR.com contest page for a $1 off coupon. And while you're there, you can enter to win Mini Melts ice cream for a year as well, which is a pretty sweet deal. But we'll take that 10th caller, give you a $25 gift card to Wawa where you can go and get your Mini Melts ice cream. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Bizarre File coming up.
Preston and Steve
Show. But as people were going out nice and orderly, I mean, even the dishwashers were over there, you know, in the corner like, man, this black woman, beautiful, looks me right in the eyes. She says, isn't this beautiful? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She said, of all the things that God could have used to walk her up to heaven, he used your show. It could have been cancer, car accident, shot, whatever. And I was like, that's now come out for freedom, bro.
Yeah. That's that's wild to think.
Yeah.
And it also, I'm sure it gives you an extra appreciation because it's inherently you want, as a comedian or someone does anything with the music, you want to connect.
Yeah. And comedy's
did.
all the ways around because I was still feeling like, oh man, how could that happen to me? You know, what's going on?
Now I've got this.
No, I saw Smokey Robinson on the plane.
Yeah.
You know, comedy follows me to love me. You know what I mean? And I go to him and I go, hey, man, Smokey, has this ever happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him what happened. He said, nah, man, never happened to me, man. He said, but invite all your enemies to your next show because you killing them, baby.
Shut up. That's great.
I have to bring this up too because you had last night the Golden Globes. There was a couple of Will Smith references. You had your own Will Smith encounter. Explain what went down.
Almost something like Chris.
Yeah.
But it never happened, you know, and I'm glad it didn't. And I was really happy about what happened.
Right.
For two reasons. One, I didn't have to feel guilty about what happened with me because he's such a great guy. Last thing I wanted to say was, hey, man, me and him almost got in a fight.
Right.
So that was a secret of mine, you know, and when that happened, I was happy that I was lifted off of that. You know, that it's not just me.
You didn't have the exact same experience. You had a tense thing, but that didn't manifest in a full thing.
Yeah, it had been a mutual smack or punch or something.
Right.
You know, it was going to that, and luckily Jada was there. You know, she was, hey, guy. I was like, no, you tell him. You know, and
you were in I believe you were in a movie.
With her,
and you kissed her in the movie.
I didn't find out what it was about until 18, 19 years later.
Wow.
What? I didn't even know why he did.
Did you find out from him?
Yeah, I did. In the book, I wrote it.
Yeah.
And then my author was like, you can't put this in here because you got to get the rights done for them.
Right.
So this bothered me. I didn't know if that was the reason. I didn't want to put it in the book. You know, and so I sent it to him.
Yeah.
And him and Jada wrote me an email back and said, it did really happen, man. Put it.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was kind of fuming.
I mean, he's just, you know, kind of human.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the second reason why I was happy.
Okay.
Because whatever that is, that fueled that energy that he came at me or Chris with, he's got an opportunity to deal with it.
Right.
In one life.
And you
now, how many of us have that opportunity to not only have success, you know, but then to have some internal success about growing.
We were just talking about how you process, how you deal with those things that set you off, or those things that you in your and you talk about it. It's a large part of your existence is bettering yourself. How do I become the best version of myself? And so you want to always hope that people have that, they can reclaim their better selves.
Yeah, and that, I mean, you know, and that it was great to see.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through my down the toilets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And through the love of people around me, you know, and a good universe, you know, pull through it.
Yeah.
So you know, it's you know, we're in this place. We're in this place where we got reward systems and this, that, and the other thing, the things we reach for.
Did you have to? Did you have to learn that? It sounds like with your mother on your side early on, it sounds like you were getting a really good instruction on how to approach life. Or did you have weaker moments where you had become less than what you wanted to be?
Yeah, I went to Earth University with everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I got a degree.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was times that was a problem. You know, with them being white and me being black and stuff that we went through, and it's just the road.
Yeah.
You know, it's the road we're on.
Tommy, what was it like achieving the success of In Living Color? Because, that I'm always curious as to how fame and fortune affect individuals. And you've had an interesting life. And that In Living Color blew up. It was huge for a stretch. And so I'm curious as to how it affected you.
You know what? For one, the main thing is that I just got touched by a freaking angel.
Yeah.
To have that show in my life.
And did you know that at the time?
We knew.
Yeah.
We knew we were going to be touched by something because we were all the best at the time. So when we walked in the door and looked at each other, we said, "We're doing a show together."
Yeah, think of that cast.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the X-Men meeting for the first time. What? It's like, you know what I mean? So it was that thing, and then come the changes of success.
Right.
We were family. We go to lunch every day, dinner every day. And we didn't know anything about fame. I didn't think we couldn't have, because when it came, it was just like a freaking. Did you see the Blob?
Yes, sure. Both of them.
Yeah, it's just no getting away from it. It comes from the vent.
Yeah.
It's hard to, you can't shoot it. I mean, it's like, it's nothing. You can't shoot it. You can't burn it.
Cold.
Coming at you nice and slow.
Yeah.
I'm taking my time. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like that thing, and so, that's a surviving thing. That's the thing to survive.
You met Keenan at a party, or he come to see he saw you happen to be on set of a show you were on?
He saw me plenty of times when I was coming up.
Okay.
At the clubs.
We had him in the studio on his birthday a few years ago.
Okay,
It was
awesome.
Oh,
He's something else,
awesome.
Man. He's something else. And it was just he knew he's the Dr. Xavier.
Yeah.
Of the whole thing.
He's Professor X?
He knew who the mutants were.
Yeah.
He just took us to the danger room. We got it all together and said, "Okay, now go get them."
Yeah.
We got too dangerous.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We got too dangerous. He would come. He said, "You guys can do whatever you want. And if you have something, we can always do another take." And blah, 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 blah. Boy, by the end of that season, it was like, he would come in the room and go, hey, look, man, look at me, you guys. We're going to get canceled, man. You cannot. We're laughing.
That's what always happens, though.
We're laughing.
Yeah.
How long was the run?
5 years.
5 years. It's
seems like longer, right?
It was in my wheelhouse. It was one of those things that I never missed it every single week. And
Casey, it was the must quote. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And having this job,
Radio was what made it.
Yeah.
Having this job has allowed me to meet a lot of the stars of that show. So having you here, on multiple occasions is a huge honor for me. We've had David Allen Greer sit in that seat. Like you said, Keenan, Sean, Marlon Wayans. We haven't had Jim Carrey in here yet.
Okay.
But
He's here.
What's that? Is he here?
Yeah.
Surprise!
He's on the roof crying. What are you crying about?
He's been a little emotionally.
He's on the roof crying right now. No, that's we were friends before In Living Color.
Yeah.
Yeah, our daughters are the same age. We were comic at the Comedy Store, so we do birthday parties and stuff like that. Now they're 35.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We knew each other back then, and then once the show came along, so we have a through line.
Yeah.
That came before it.
He and Damon Wayans are two that I would love to meet.
Yeah.
Love to meet those guys.
Yeah, I just, we all just got really lucky.
No, you didn't.
Like we can be.
Luck plus talent.
Yeah.
equals the
you
end
gotta have
result.
both of them.
Yeah, you got to have both of them. But the thing is that I always try to give this advice. Never, what you see is always realize that there are people that can do exactly that, and there are there's a whole tremendous amount of people out there with extraordinary talent that you'll never know about because the break didn't happen for
That's
them.
right.
You know?
Yeah, except now there's YouTube and you can see them there.
Yeah. But, you know, it seems like the way of this thing we live on.
Yeah.
This blue thing we live on, you know. We could go to the grocery store and see like heaps and heaps of ice cream. You see trucks.
Yeah.
Mack trucks full of cookies and this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, I go to Djibouti, Africa, or Mexico, or somewhere like that, or even Detroit, you know, and people are under a bridge with, you know, a cracker.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? You know, so it's where we live, you know, and I think the whole forever thing, you know, got kind of pulled.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to be here that long.
Yeah.
You know, we need to just do it right, and leave it up to the eternity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's a very healthy attitude.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, it's Tommy Davidson who's going to be at World Cafe Live tonight. Tickets are on sale. You can get them at worldcafelive.com. It's funny music is the name of the show. How
people are going home. I thought that was Dr. Phil on there, man. Dr. Phil got a black accent all of a sudden.
How are you finding that the music and comedy live are playing together? Is it a nice? You love the balance?
Yeah, it's a good balance, but there's two different art forms.
Yeah,
and they're
it's all about timing now.
Music, boy, I tell you, music is like a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, you ain't gonna know what to do no matter what.
That's a great way to put it.
You ain't gonna know what to do no matter what.
It's an essential. We've talked on the show. Occasionally, you'll come across somebody who says, "I'm not into music." Because there's nothing available to you that you can find that you enjoy. Because it is literally it's what the station has been about for years, providing a soundtrack for people's lives.
I know.
You know.
I know. You know, like I said, we're on this blue chip now.
Yeah.
And just that little bit of the song we played, I heard a little, and that's all that I've heard of it, unfortunately. But I'll listen to it more. I heard almost a little Al Jarreau. Type of thing in
That's
there.
you know this is a business, right?
Yeah.
And so you know, I had to think strategy. You know, how am I going to enter into the music business? I wanted to do it in a genuine way.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to come here and do something that I could do really, really well for a certain audience.
Right.
Because the way that things are now, divided into social media and all of this stuff. You know, I'm somebody who can be eating a pickle on the porch couch.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, can critique my album. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like, you know what I mean? So I don't know if I want to subject myself. You know what I mean?
You got to impress the guy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Never get a picture of the person that made the comment. You know what I mean? You know, I don't think Tommy Davidson's album is, you know, and you look and he's, you know, he's over a paint bucket. You know what I mean? You know, he's got a living room couch
on his porch.
He's on his porch, right? You know, with kittens. You know what I mean? It's February. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean. So
it sounds very specific.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Who knew he was a jazz fan?
Yeah, it's very specific. You know, I got that from when what was it, Amazon?
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know, went to do my book.
Yeah.
You know, and so they had comments, you know? And this is when I discovered that comments and social media is like the bathroom stall. Anybody can say something, everybody gets to read it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're not gonna go in the bathroom stall and go, let me write this number down. Let me quote that. You know what I mean? So all these comments were there, right? I love the book. This is great. You know, some of this, but you know, all in all, this, that, and then there was one comment that said, you know, I really liked Tommy Davidson until I read the book.
Huh.
And I'm like, you know, Amazon, why'd you have to put that? Like the owner can go to the moon.
Yeah.
The owner can go to the moon on his own money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why can't you leave out one bad thing that someone would say about it? That bad. I mean, there's no redeeming quality in none of that. That's just like I used to like him.
Yeah.
And now I don't like him because of the book. So it's like saying, I don't like him because of who he is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I found out who he is in the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you know, we talk about the joke, and it's the classic joke is you get 200 great reviews, and that one that stinks.
Yeah.
What?
I know.
Yeah.
But I know the real thing.
No, you know.
The real thing is, that person got loved.
Yeah.
And don't know what it's like. But at least they got loved.
Yeah.
Because they got loved in one way or the other. Because they had to say it. They had to say it. So they read it.
Yeah.
I got a text on one of the past, as long as we do have to wrap up, unfortunately. But this person says,
"Doggone it!"
It says, Tommy's story is amazing. Thank him for being a beautiful human being, especially for what he went through.
Yeah.
So there's some great comments.
I will say that I used to like Tommy before this interview. Now I love him.
Now you love him.
Thank you. Looking out on my lonely roof, day after.
Is that Badfinger?
Yeah.
It's a great song.
I'm going to get your book.
What was it? Who was that?
Oh, yes. Roundabout.
Now, you gonna change your ways.
Now I remember the last
Sammy
time.
Davis.
Now I remember the last
That was
time.
Sammy Davis Jr. doing yes. Honey.
I remember the last time we had you, and you immediately just launched into Philadelphia Freedom, just like that. Before I even asked you one question.
Yeah, but I got a new Sammy verse. I got my eye, it's out. You know there?
Wow.
I love it.
World Cafe live tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Now I got a new one.
Funny music with Tommy Davidson and Marcus Mitchell on sax. I wanted to mention him because you were talking about radio. So.
Yeah, come out and have some fun.
Listen,
I'll be there.
It's wonderful to see you. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you,
today.
man. You guys are still here. Like radio still exists.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
for you.
You know what I mean?
This is Roundabout, by the way. It's got a long intro.
It does.
I would have gotten to it, but we got to take a break.
Yeah.
Shows tonight.
Thank you.
We know
so
what you
much.
mean.
Yeah.
WorldCafeLive.com to get tickets to see Tommy Davidson. We're going to take a break, right? It's our buddy Tom Papa calling him.
Yeah, we got cool.
So we'll come back.
We got cool.
We got cool. Casey. I've done something like that so many times that I can't bust your balls about it. We'll come back in a second with Tom Papa. We got cool. Stay there. We'll be right back.
Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR.
This Saturday, the Keswick Theater is going to light up with the comedy stylings of our next guest. He's a friend of the show. We love having him on. He's one of my absolute favorite. Please give some love to Mr. Tom Papa. This morning. Yay. It's early. Hi, Tom. Nice to see you, sir. Tom's joining us via Zoom this morning. You look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Yeah, well, it's you have a Cracker Jack staff over there. Casey sent me a reminder that we have the interview today at 4:30 a.m.
It's better than
nothing. He knows I was sitting there waiting for confirmation in the middle of the night here in L.A.
I imagine you sitting like in a big lounge chair with a little glass of scotch and just waiting, just anticipating.
93.3 WMMR.
There's a text that says, "You putting me on." I love that. I love that line too. And then another one writes, "Dude, the other guy was good. The eyebrow guy."
Yeah.
Rovine.
That was Rovine.
Yeah, and then Super Dave, I also did it to him as well.
That's right.
And the line that he gave to me was because I asked him about what happens to the reindeer when they die, and he goes, "Nobody dies in Christmas."
Yeah.
And then there's a pause, and he goes, "We have a funeral."
We have a funeral. And people are requesting the Gary Lauer Hallmark movie.
Oh, Christmas Cookie Cove,
which we have not done yet either.
Yes.
So we got to, and we only have a couple of days left. We got to start. If we can play some of those today.
They were asking, so I
great.
did an Instagram Live last night, and some people were asking about that. And we should, Case, I think some of us were in the studio when that was recorded. We should do a behind the scenes, a making of, like because it would have been easier to have a CNC deliver Gary's lines because it was unbelievable.
It was. All right, well, maybe we'll get to it. We got to do the bizarre file, and let's do it now.
WMMR presents Preston and Steve's Bizarre File.
Brought to you by Horizon Services. Holiday season means plenty of plumbing problems, and Horizon Services is covered with 20% off all plumbing repairs. Plus, Horizon's pros offer peace of mind with same-day plumbing services. Visit horizonservices.com. Out of Texas, a man was detained Saturday night. Police found him in a car with a dead person they believe was a hit-and-run victim that he struck in Dallas earlier in the evening. Police initially responded to a welfare check at a Jack in the Box parking lot. They said they got a call about a driver slumped over the steering wheel of a Kia Forte with extensive front-end hood and windshield damage. An officer found the vehicle and noticed a human body in the front passenger seat next to the passed-out driver.
I'm okay.
As the officer shined his flashlight into the vehicle looking for alcoholic beverages that might be in plain view, he noticed what appeared to be a human body in the passenger side of the vehicle.
We just went to Jack in the Box.
Medics were called to the scene and confirmed that the person was deceased. After seeing the body, Cook said that the officer had the driver step out of the car for questioning. They identified him as Nestor Flores. Flores said that he thought that he had struck a deer in Dallas and continued to drive to the parking lot about 40 miles away.
40 miles with a dead body in the passenger seat.
Based on evidence, officials said they believed that the victim in the passenger seat was a pedestrian who was struck by the vehicle.
Oh, man.
And police said they believe the impact of the crash was so severe that the pedestrian was thrown inside of the vehicle and came to rest in the passenger seat. Like, I initially thought maybe he went out and picked up the body and
That's
threw it
what
in
I
there.
thought.
No,
Yeah,
he
it
hit
blew
so
through the
hard,
windshield.
went through the windshield and into the passenger seat.
It's like that scene in Matrix 2 where they're coming through the glass, the ghost creatures.
Police were contacted, and police contacted officials in other cities to figure out where the crash happened. They said that there were human remains near the scene of the Dallas crash.
So he was so, unless he was, either he's lying, but he was, or maybe he was so out of it that he didn't realize that's what happened.
Do not know, but I've never heard of anything like that before. In Miami, a former high school teacher previously accused of signing the name of a student's parent on school documents was sentenced this week. Andrea Bullmaster, 40 years old, was sentenced to 5 years of probation, suspended 180-day jail sentence, and she was also ordered to surrender her teaching license to the state. Bullmaster, who had been employed with the district for 7 months, allegedly exchanged thousands of messages with a student and even forged his mother's signature on documents.
It's the student's job to forge their parents' signatures.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
You are correct. An incident report stated a woman wanted to make a telephone harassment complaint. She told deputies a teacher from her son's school was communicating inappropriately with her son, who was a freshman at the time. The mother told deputies she became aware of the situation when her son came home with gifts from Bullmaster. She later found messages between her son and teacher. The report noted that while the messages were not criminal in nature, it was apparent that there was an emotional and flirtatious facet to their communication.
That's disturbing.
Listen to this, though. Data was then collected from both Bullmaster's and the students' phones, and thousands of messages were found between the two through text and social media. Messages were sent on a daily basis before, during, and after school hours. And at some point, Bullmaster asked a student if his mom would be cool with her signing his mom's name on a form to get his schedule changed to where he would be spending multiple class periods with her.
Whoa!
She submitted her resignation to the school
I'll
district's
just be going.
Board of Education. Yep. A Washington state man in jail awaiting trial in one murder case has been charged with 3 more killings. And prosecutors say that he lured all 4 victims by asking them to help him dig up buried gold. Richard Bradley Jr. was charged in May 2021 with first-degree murder in the death of 44-year-old Brandy Blake, whose body was found buried in a sprawling park in the town of Auburn, Washington. In the last 2 weeks, prosecutors have filed 3 more murder charges against this guy in the shooting deaths of a father and son in May 2021 and in the 2019 death of a man whose remains were found near Blake's grave.
And each time he would say, can you help me dig up buried...
Believe it or not.
Was he presenting himself as a leprechaun?
Prosecutors were wrote in court documents that Bradley is accused of using the same scheme in each of the deaths, allegedly telling the victims they needed her help digging up a stash of stolen gold taking them to a wooded area and then killing them before stealing whatever they had.
Man.
Emilio Marturin was 36 when he was last seen alive in July 2019. His girlfriend reported him missing after 2 weeks. She told Texas she overheard Bradley telling Marturin that he needed help digging up some buried gold. Initially, the guy was skeptical, but allegedly went along anyway. And he apparently, this guy had a habit of taking large amounts of money with him whenever he left the house. And he had roughly $15,000 in cash with him when he left that day. So the dude stole that from him. And then this happened to these other people as well. And for some reason, they believed that they were going to go dig up gold. I don't know how he convinced them to it.
It seems like an obvious.
But that's what they're saying. Yeah, it's pretty wild. All right, a Japanese man, last story here, uses such a large amount of insecticide that he actually caused an explosion in his house.
Wow.
The 54-year-old Kumamoto resident attempted to kill a cockroach.
Oh, my God.
On December 10th, late at night, using a flammable spray, and the apartment shortly blew up.
Oh, man.
The fire was large enough to blow out a balcony window.
Killed that cockroach.
The National Consumer Affairs Center of Japan has received similar reports when insecticides are sprayed near outlets. It's unclear if the cockroach was killed in the explosion or if
I'm doing fine, bro.
Or if it survived to cause more chaos. So, all right, and there you go.
Hanging around for Necrophilia Friday.
That's what I have in the bizarre file for you. All right, what am I giving away, dude?
It's your call.
Oh, I thought you were handing me something.
No,
all right, let's do Mini Melts. I have a $25 gift card for Wawa. Mini Melts ice cream. You can buy this at Wawa. It's a perfect on-the-go grab. They have a mini spoon right inside of the cup, all right? And it's available at Wawa's right all across the Delaware Valley. But don't go looking for Mini Melts with all the other ice cream. You can find Mini Melts in their signature Mini Melts ice cream standalone freezer at Wawa.
It's our official ice cream.
And because it's colder than the other ice creams, that's why it is kept there. You can, by the way, visit WMMR.com/contest for a $1 off coupon. And while you're there, enter to win Mini Melts ice cream for a year. Did I give a number caller yet? No. Caller 15 at 215-263-WMMR. You get the $25 gift card. We're going to do more invites. We have one left for Christmas Miracle. That's coming up in a bit. And some other things that we may have your chance to win as well. We'll be back. And don't forget, Zack Snyder joining us in less than an hour. We'll be right back.
Preston and Steve.
I wish you get to talk to us.
Stroking my cat. When will they call?
Like Blofeld.
You know, I talked to Tom 5 minutes ago in the other room, and I told him that I failed at my job, and then you brought it on air.
Well, so this wouldn't be an issue if you're East Coast.
Yeah.
You know, but
I know. It makes me very angry. I was like, every time I come on, I'm like, well, next time when I come through, I'm coming in the studio for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And I've got to be in Nashville the night before, so it always blows it.
Well, the draw obviously was you love to surf, and that's why you ended up out there.
Yeah, I'm big into surfing. I love yoga. I'm doing the 1970s version of California.
Yeah, exactly. The endless
everybody
summer.
Everybody else has moved on. I'm walking around with my chest hair out, gold chains just tangled in my spooky cobweb body hair.
It's funny you mentioned that because there's a commercial with Mark Spitz on now. It's for some sort of colonoscopy in a box or something like that. But Mark Spitz was like that, exactly what you just the matted chest hair and the medallions.
There's a line in the song Macho Man from the classic Village People,
right?
Where he goes, "You see all this hair on my chest?" I'm like, wow, man, that was really that was it.
That's over now.
Thing. There was definitely
people were turned on by that, I guess.
So Tom, you're gonna be at the Keswick on Saturday, and I feel like you're almost exclusively when you come to this area, almost exclusively you play the Keswick Theater, and I'm not sure if that is your choice, management, or but I just I love
great
that
theater.
It's a great theater.
So
it's
good.
a great little town and everything
I
like
like
that.
the
So
town.
do you inform your booking manager where you want to play?
Yeah, it's kind of like a back and forth conversation, but I do love that place, and they kind of cultivated me coming up, and the real reason I wanted to go back, especially this time, was the Keswick last show I did before the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
I remember I was in the lobby. I was signing books. At the end of my shows, I sign books and meet the people. And I was out there, and people were like, "Should we shake hands? Is this okay?" And everybody was all kind of screwy. And I got on the plane the next morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the plane, and I'm like, "Wow, this is getting weird. I wonder if I'm going to be doing stand-up next week." And Paula Poundstone, the great comedian Paula Poundstone, comes onto the plane. She sees me, and she just leans in and goes, "We're effed."
No, it's funny you say that because that's happening a lot. This Friday, I'm hosting a charity event for the Morse Animal Refuge here in Philadelphia. It was the last event that night. A big gala. I remember everyone had that same sort of, what's going on here? What's going on? Things are going on. I lost an iPad that night, so I remember, the whole thing. And this Friday, it's like the sense is we're picking up where we left off because it's the first event back of that nature, which is kind of, it feels right.
Yeah. It does, and it feels like a milestone for sure. I'm a little concerned. I thought you said I lost my eye patch.
It turned out I realized I have a functional second eye, and why have I been wearing this?
People say the pandemic's bad, but I was able to use both eyes for the first time.
It's a joy.
Oh man!
But the theater thing.
Yeah, but I'm really psyched for sure. And it's there's only some tickets left. There's not. I came on because I really want to sell the place out. I just want it to be like this triumphant kind of like return.
Well, you're a dear friend of the show, so we please help Tom realize his goal. And if honestly, you're so good at what you do, and I think over this period, which no one would want to say, hey, I hope we have a pandemic, but I think what you do, how you've done it, the way you've approached thematically your shows, I think it's meant a lot to people. So I'm sure you've got. People will need to seize upon this opportunity to see you live after all this time.
Thank you. It is funny that now that I've been out for a bit, and you do see all the people. And like I said, I sign books at the end of every show, and I get to see all these people that have been like they travel. I used to just kind of skip out the back.
Right
now, you're actually sitting and signing books, and people come up and you forget, we traveled and we stayed in a hotel and we came from 6 hours, or we flew in from Toronto. And the thing I keep hearing is that my Netflix special, You're Doing Great, was like therapy for people during the pandemic. Because it was kind of upbeat. It was very optimistic. Like, you're doing great. We're going to get through this. And even the book was You're Doing Great and even reasons to stay alive. And other reasons to stay alive. And I was just writing it, but I didn't realize it was became like a self-help book, and a self-help special.
It's brilliant, and there's sometimes it's weird when you experience like a blowback from a desire to feel good and see the glasses half full. It's how we survive as a species. And Preston was just talking about, we had a segment about long despair and all of the people who are just in the throes of dealing with all this stuff. That's the service you provide. It is a release. A comedy has always helped me throughout my life, whether I was watching Bugs Bunny cartoons or whatever, going through a bad time. It does heal, and so it's got to be very good for you to see those people smiling and reacting to you that way.
100%. And it's I named the tour the tour that I'm on, the Family Reunion Tour, and I really feel it's the family that I want to be with when I'm on the road and see all of the people. I literally was saying the other night on stage, I was like, remember back in the pandemic when they said we couldn't hang out with our families? They said we actually couldn't see our families for a year. Wow, those were the good old days.
I think we may have discussed this before, but if not, your stand-up is huge on TikTok right now. And so I'm wondering if that has ended up, as far as your audience is concerned, is your audience trending younger these days as a result?
It's interesting. There are younger people showing up, which is very cool. It's like, because their parents already know me, and now the young people know me. And also when I was doing the NPR show, when I was doing Live from Here, which was the Perry Home thing, that was another thing that like the whole family could listen to. So the coolest thing is when people come up and it's like the mom and the dad and like two 15-year-olds, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's very cool. Casey, actually, you tipped me off on the TikTok trend that was happening for a while.
Yeah, you're talking about like, growing people and I mean,
yeah, you'd see it constantly on the stream. You still do, yeah.
Yeah. I had this line. I made my own people. Have you ever made your own people? I've made my own people, and I'm their leader. And all of these moms started taking it and lip syncing it, and like showing their kids like doing like picking their nose or scratching their ass, and they're like, "Have you made your own people?" I have, and it became this trend. I was like, the joy of being able to tell my 16-year-old daughter that I was a trend on TikTok.
Top that.
Yeah.
Tom,
she was so angry.
We're all kind of students of comedy and fans of comedy, and I love, just like everybody else in the room, the Netflix special was therapeutic and funny. But when you watch something at home, you usually like kind of chuckle to yourself a little bit, maybe laugh if you're watching with somebody, but there's not like the double over laughter that you get at a live experience. And so I love going to clubs. I love going to like the Keswick and seeing comedy shows there. I've seen, I saw Saget there. I saw Mike Birbiglia. So I'm curious as to like when you perform live, getting that type of reaction versus getting the, hey, that made me laugh type of thing, like actually seeing people laugh. You know the difference that I'm trying to explain?
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing. I was talking about this the other day that I feel like we need to have a return of comedies, film.
Yeah.
Like when we were kids, they were throwing so much comedy at us, like A comedies, B list, C list. They were just showing Ernest Goes to Camp and Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, they just kept throwing comedies at us, and a lot of them were terrible. But we all went to the movie theater and sat there and watched. And when there's this weird thing with human beings and this energy that connects us. And when you're in a theater and you hear someone else laugh, and then you laugh, and then it connects to the other person, and it's contagious.
It's communal. Yeah, it's great.
It really catches. When I do shows, I do like these corporate shows sometimes, where a company like Microsoft will hire me to go do their thing. And the thing that they always screw up, which I literally have in my contract, is no dance floor. Like you have to have people starting at the stage. They used to put like a big dance floor, and just that gap, between me and the audience. Like if you take 10 feet, you've killed it. You've killed the electricity chain.
Right.
So but if you have the people up to the stage, that laugh, my energy will connect to those people, which will spread through the theater.
Yeah. Hey, do you on distinct laughers in the crowd? Because some people really stand out with their laugh, and if so, do you kind of target them if you can?
Yeah, well, I don't target them, but it's definitely conscious. And the thing that I have to do is remind myself that just accept it as a real laugh.
Okay.
Because when I was starting and I would hear someone like the insecurity was they're fake laughing.
Right.
They're mocking me. And then I would attack them, and everyone in the audience is like, "What are you doing that for? He likes the show the best." And I'm like, he's not real.
There are some people that have that ha 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 like cartoon, like it's written out, ha ha ha,
like the
laughter.
Frankenstein monster has learned to laugh.
Exactly. But that's how they laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to like say something just to get it off my chest. Like, something like, I don't know. Thanks for bringing thanks for bringing your pet seal. Or whatever.
I wonder what percentage of your audience now too, because you've got. You've built obviously the podcast and your various shows and all the things you're involved with. Have you ever done sort of a casual breakdown of who's there and what they're there? What was their entree to getting into Tom Papa?
I know. I'm always so curious about it, but it's weird to just like stop in the middle of a comedy show and be like, okay, we're going to take a little survey now. Who here drove more than 2 hours? More than 2 hours? Where did you? Because it really is it is a mystery, and I kind of like that it is a mystery.
Right.
But there's times when I'll go play like a performing arts center, and I know these people are like parents, they've got families and stuff, and I know they're not on TikTok. I know they're not even on Twitter.
Right.
And I'm like, and I've been tweeting about my all week. I'm like, how did you find out that I was here if you're not on Twitter?
Right.
You guys don't use Instagram. Where did you come from? I don't know. I think it's just a combination of everything, I guess, over the years.
Well, it's almost like we've been
WMMR.
All right, thanks, Kath. In this heightened time of gift purchasing, one can make a few missteps along the way. Especially,
desperation, right?
Well, especially with the ads that pop up on social media for items that you go, wow, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then you get it and you're like, this is a piece of crap. How did this happen? You know what I mean?
I had my share.
And so I think we'd like to get ideas from people of maybe what to avoid, or you thought it was going to be one thing and it turned out to be another thing. If you have had that happen, feel free to let us know. 215-263-WMMR.
I can lead with two things. I ordered something. I knew this one was iffy, but it looked, I'm like, I did my due diligence. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, it says the height. It says what it's going to do.
Yeah.
I've seen it pop up. Basically, it was a freestanding lantern that was supposed to be about 6 feet on the end of a pole, like an old-style lantern. And in the glass was a kind of a snow globe thing, blowing snow, and Santa's there. And it was lit up. And I go, oh, wow, that looks, even at this price, which is, it's like, okay, maybe they got it done for this cost.
How much was it?
It was about $45.
Okay.
And it's 6 feet tall?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They were off. It was about 6 inches tall.
Stop it.
All right, maybe a little bit more, but about so basically it was from opening to throwing it out took about 4 minutes.
Stop it.
I mean, I was howling. I had known that this was likely going to be at least. But I thought, what if it is something good? And I think, Preston, that's the mindset. That's how they get you.
Yeah.
Because it looks delightful. And I'm like, well, Jesus, okay. I mean, there was no stand. The thing stood about, 10 inches up high. There was, all of the things were completely loose. The instructions were just a picture of the thing from the top and from the side.
Oh, my God.
That was the instructions.
Wow.
Everything had to be put together. And so I gave it the good college try. But in like 3 minutes, I was like, done.
Where did you see it? Did it show up on like Instagram or something?
Instagram first.
Okay.
And then I moved on to other sites. Now, of course, this company that's doing this is covering their bases.
Yeah.
So they had that. And then another one that recently I was taken for. And then this one I thought actually was going to be the real deal. The Griswold Christmas scene.
Okay.
The camper, the house, the figures.
This is for like a village, a Christmas village?
Little vignette. Okay. Oh, this is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
I know exactly where I want to put it.
Uh-huh.
Horrible.
Oh, no.
Do you know
Clark.
do you know either company?
No.
Okay.
No, and I have a feeling these are companies that are constantly changing names. I mean, this was Clark looked like a badger. I mean, it was horrible. It was just, I don't know what country this came from or whatever. And then none of the lights were actually inside the things. It was like a string of super tiny lights that you kind of had to jam into the bottom of the things. And it just looked horrible. But in the presentation, I'm like, this is a delightful little homage to one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And for the money, and I think that's where they get you.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to take it totally off the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly
Not
what
enough
you're
to take
saying.
it totally off the table and enough to make you say, I'll go for it.
Yeah.
But they were two staggeringly, ridiculously bad pieces of merchandise.
Yeah, so I'm a sucker for a lot of things on Instagram, and I'm definitely a sucker for things that light up, right? But I do.
Me too.
I very rarely purchase anything off of Instagram. What I'll do is I'll find it on Instagram, and then I'll check it out on Amazon. Now, I purchased something last week. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. It definitely came in already, but I saw it on Instagram. I went over to Amazon. I found it there. It was something that lights up.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I don't know who I'm getting this for. It's either for one of my kids or me, and I don't, and I really don't know.
Have you verified that it's worth a damn?
I know. We're gonna find out when it comes out of the box.
We're gonna find out together.
We're gonna find out
There you
together.
go.
Well, you know what? You have to research the company because I mean anything, even that. I mean, going to Amazon, sometimes you're still getting a doozy from Amazon. You have to research the company, look at the reviews. I actually ordered something off of it was one of those ones, Steve. I kept seeing it, kept popping up as an ad, but from a different company.
Right.
It would be the same exact product,
From
same
different
exact
companies.
And so I researched them. Yeah, they were a crock, and there were terrible reviews.
What was it? Do you remember?
It was a gag gift for somebody, and I don't want to say what it is yet because I haven't given it to them yet.
Okay.
But I was like, you know what? For whatever, I think it was like $35.
Right.
So
So
for
it's sitting-
$35,
yeah.
I'm gonna take the chance because there were some reviews on there that were like, "Hey, I got it, and it was great." So I was
same.
like, so I said, I'm gonna chance. I'm gonna put my $35 on the line because it's so funny. If I can get this, it'll be great. And I did. It took forever to get here, but I got it, and it's not bad. But listen, if it was anything over that and you researched that company, it was terrible reviews. I wouldn't spend any more money there.
Case, I know you haven't decided to give this a gift or not. Can you tell us what it is, or would you rather not? Okay.
No, I'll tell you because all the kids are in school. So, and Seamus is homesick, but he's not getting this anyway. So it's either going to go to me or my oldest, and it is a light curtain. Okay,
right.
So think of like a beaded curtain, right? But it's with LED lights, and you can program like figures
Different
into
images,
it
right.
and images, and I was
That
like,
sounds
this,
fun.
Yeah, it was only $21. So
for $20. Casey, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
Dude, I'll trade you my Griswold family Christmas.
Dude, yes, you swap our crappy
But
gifts.
you know what it is?
Jesus.
It's a Pottery Barn knockoff is what it is.
Oh.
And so, yes, of course, Pottery Barn is going to be super expensive.
Yes.
So they're doing a knockoff to try to get people to buy it for $20. Good.
How much is the Pottery Barn one? Can you look that up?
Yeah, I'll look
I'm
it up.
curious because I'll bet Pottery Barn's expensive.
By the way, so I'll do my vetting and I'll check out the companies, and Kathy, reviews will pop up. But there was an article that I sent to you, Preston, about the reviews on Amazon and how much are generated by bots. How many are generated by bots? That's why you have to look for that verified review. It's actually, if you look in the reviews, it will say verified user review.
Can you use that like a filter? Where
I think you can, yeah. But a lot of times you'll see Griswold family Christmas display. Awesome.
I'm going to go to Chris on the phones. Hi, Chris. Good morning. What's up, Chris?
This probably took place about 15 years ago when I was living in Westchester. Kathy, right on the corner of High Street and Sharpless. I don't know if you're familiar. I'm sure you are, but
I don't know, Jory, your phone, is that the crappy gift? The audio sounds terrible. Say that again, Chris.
Really? Crap.
That's better. Yeah, it sounds better.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
So about 15 years ago, I was living in Westchester with one of my best friends. And we went online, and it was around Christmas time, and we wanted one of the, from a Christmas store, we wanted one of those leg lamps.
The leg lamp.
That, not a thing that one, right? So we got a great price on it. We're like, man, this is awesome. It's so great. We're going to put it in the window. And then it showed up, and it was 12 inches tall.
12 inches tall. Yeah.
Yeah, we were like, what the hell? But I tell you what, though, in all seriousness, we ended up loving it and then fought over who got to keep it.
How much? Do you remember how much it cost?
Dude, it was like $20.
There you go.
That's $20, man.
And it sits in the pocket. You're like, yeah.
Right. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. I'm trying to think of ones this year that I've seen that have popped up. I'm like, wow, that's really great. And then I don't do it because I'm too skeptical.
Here's another one I bought. I bought if you ever see them, they're glow in the dark. They're balls, and you throw them up at the ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah,
and they stick and they glow.
They leave marks on your ceiling.
That's one thing. And another thing is it has to be the right type of ceiling. Like you have to have, like I tried.
For it to stick?
Yeah. And so you can't go, and then they all start.
Like the video they show.
I threw one up and I had to get up on a ladder to pull it off.
There was one. Sometimes I'll see lighting things as well that will, throw the entire the universe up on your ceiling and stuff like that.
Or the flashlight that generates half the brightness of the sun.
I know. Is it any good?
Well, so it's not the universe, but it's the
Like
thing.
stars,
Yes.
Milky Way.
It's a little astronaut that like shoots things out of its
Visor?
helmet, as visor, and so it shoots stars, and it has like a little nebula. It's badass. I love that.
Is it badass?
I do love it. But what's weird about it is I also have, like, how we have these disco lights here?
Yeah.
I bought disco lights as well, and they all work from the same remote.
Same remote.
It's weird because they're 3 different products.
I like really solid Christmas decorations that are light displays that work off the same remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Go figure.
So they work well together?
Yeah. Well, they work, but I also find it weird that, like, so they're 3 different things.
Right. Same
and
remote.
I'm trying to turn them all on at the same time, and I'll turn 1 off and 2 on, and then I'll turn 2 off and 1 on. So it takes a little bit of a finagling.
I'm going to go to Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Good morning.
Hey, sorry to bother you at work.
No, what's up, Lisa? What did you buy? You thought it was going to be awesome.
I didn't. It was my grown man-child that I live with.
All right.
He's totally into Star Wars, like Star Wars everything. We have like Chewbacca. We have all kinds of stuff. He goes on and he saw a lightsaber. Well, he was over the moon and he like so excited about it. It came and it was like a stick of plastic that you would see like at one of those like fairs or something that a 5-year-old would use.
Oh, yeah.
And he was so mad. He was just flipping, and then he tried to return it. They wouldn't take it back. So eventually this year, because I listened to it for years about this lightsaber, we went to Disney and actually got him a real one.
And by the way, how much did that one cost?
The real one was like $300.
Yeah. There's a bit of a difference.
But it's really awesome. Like it does the sounds and everything. So my man-child was happy after he got the real one.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Lisa. And I hate that this is true, but more often the case than not. And I've told this. My dad wanted to chintz out on buying some things and wanted to buy cheap. And I said, Dad, you know what I found out when you buy something cheap? You're buying some cheap crap.
Yeah.
Usually, if it's inexpensive, it's going to fall apart on you.
Right.
And that's kind of the rule.
And then you're going to spend the money that you would have initially spent if you just bought
if you can afford
the
a
curtain
quality
from Pottery Barn.
Yeah, if you can afford a quality product,
You're exactly
should pay
right.
for it.
Sometimes things cost more because they're better. But I'll say this. The powers that be have gotten savvy to what a practiced shopper will look for to convince them to make the purchase.
Yeah.
Like your reviews, like your other things like that. And on the second one, on the lantern, I'm like, okay, for this price, if it comes in and it's good, even remotely good, I'm happy. But it was so staggeringly bad, I had to laugh.
And here's the deal with that cheaper price. They know that a lot of people are just going to eat it and not
fight it.
attempt to try to get their money back.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what would happen if you even tried to do that. Would that company even exist?
And probably not. Like a lot of the companies that come from overseas, a lot in China, when you try to return,
just forget it.
Yeah, it's not like they don't even have a return center.
It's a guy in a farm.
I'm going to go to Mike. Hi, Mike. Good morning.
Hey, good morning to see you.
Good morning, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
What's up, buddy?
All right, so you guys are familiar with Assassin's Creed, the video game, right?
Yes.
So if you look on, you see them all over on Instagram, on Amazon, Wish.com even. They have these kind of hoodies, and they have the zipper that kind of goes diagonal across, and it's got that cool pointed hood, and it looks right out of the game. Well, 99% of the time, those sizes are actually in Chinese sizing and not American. So when you order, let's say, an XL, thinking it's for an adult, it's actually about the size of a 6th grader's hoodie. So when you put it on, it's like a crop top.
Yeah, I look up sizes now because they have like size charts. I have to do that now when I'm buying stuff online.
You can never, honestly, and even then you're running a risk. But
Right.
So you ordered it, Mike, and it came as a crop top.
Oh, it was so tiny. I was like, well, maybe it says slim fit. Maybe just try and zip this up. It was definitely fat man in a little coat.
All right, thanks, Mike.
I
Appreciate
ordered
it.
a T-shirt, one of the holiday T-shirts, and I'm like, okay, this is I'll go for it. And I pulled it out, Preston. It was now I've got a machine gun too.
Yeah.
This is impossibly cheap. All right, let's see. And it said tri-blend. So I pull it out. It was like a lobster bib. That's how small. I mean, it was crazy small.
It's ridiculous.
Like when I ordered, this is a legit company, but when I ordered Skims from, Kardashian's line, the underwear, it looked like, I called my friend who had an 11-year-old at the time. I was like, do you want these underwear for her? Because that's the size of them.
I have Nick, who's on next, who can maybe help us avoid this type of thing. Hey, Nick, good morning.
Hey, Gadzooks, guys.
Gadzooks, buddy, what's up?
All right, so one thing with Amazon, a lot of the Amazon sellers are actually getting their stuff from websites kind of called there's DHgate or AliExpress. These are all like Oriental Trading Company type places.
Okay.
And what they'll do is they'll just set up drop shipping sites through Amazon and just mark up the prices. So again, like you said, it's enticing enough, but you're getting junk.
So even though you think you're going through Amazon, and I do have a pretty good history with Amazon, like around the time, especially around the holidays, beware because you could fall prey just as easily.
Yes. So there's a couple things you can do. There's there's a website called Fake Spot, and if you're looking to buy something from Amazon, you get the URL from Amazon, and you go to Fake Spot and put the URL in. And it'll analyze the reviews. Because like you were saying with all the bots and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
It'll check out the tendencies and what, okay, there were 35 reviews on the same day, and they all kind of saying the same thing.
I like this.
Oh, that is
so Nick,
awesome.
I'm on it right now, and it says use AI to detect fake reviews and scams.
That's great.
And so it does. This is a godsend.
Yeah, it'll give it a real score based on what they feel are actual real reviews.
Oh, that's going to help out a lot of people, Nick. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Fakespot.com.
I got to get the URL for the lantern
and find out what the story is with the reviews on that.
Yeah,
because it'll sift through that. I love it. All right, we got a break here shortly because we got Zack Snyder coming up, and I'm going to go to Ra, our friend Ra. What's up, bud?
What the dealio?
Yo.
What's the dealio?
What's up, brah?
Hey, man. I bought, they have those shirts with the V-neck, right? With the with the little, shoelace in it. And they kind of, for the guys, and, the chest is kind of busting out. You're showing off the chest hair a little bit, the arms and everything. And, I work out a little bit, so I'm figuring, this is going to look good. It looks like it was made of a nice cotton, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say that the brand rhymed with emu or anything like that. So I get it. I go ahead and pay for it. It wasn't a high price or anything. I get it, man. This thing might as well have been made of tissue paper.
No kidding.
But it didn't tear, right? It was blousy, first of all. The arms
Blousy.
The arms were kind of just, hanging. They weren't, on the bicep or anything. And the V-neck was extremely deep. And I was like, yo, this is not what I asked for.
Extremely deep.
I love that. All right, Ra.
It was so cheap, I didn't return it.
You just ate it.
Yeah,
that's what they're counting on.
All right, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, man. I love you, brother. All right, we've got listen, beware, though, but I like that fakespot.com.
Yes.
That's a great way.
I just bookmarked it.
If you're doing online shopping to keep an eye on things. All right, we do need to take a break because, as I said, Zack Snyder.
Yes.
Rebel Moon is opening. By the way, Casey's got a screening of that tonight. Pretty exciting stuff. But before we do that, let me give away another Mini Melts. $25 gift card for Wawa. And you can, we'll take caller number 12 at 215-263-WMMR. Don't forget, Mini Melts ice cream is available in 13 different flavors. We're trying every week during the Connoisseur. So this week on Thursday, so we're doing it early because we're off on Friday, we're going to be trying out Banana Split.
Yes!
Which I'm very much looking forward to. Head to WMMR.com, the contest page for $1 off Brownie Blast and Cake Pop flavors, by the way, and enter to win Mini Melts ice cream for a year while you are there. We'll take that caller number 12 and we'll set you up. When we come back, Zack Snyder, talk Rebel Moon. Stay with us.
Preston and Steve.
But we re-embrace some analog technology, we remember that, yes, the word used to get out regardless of social media.
Yes.
And so that is something that is every bit as important. I mean, we here with terrestrial radio, which is still, the big mofo, it's still it still has something that connects in a very, soundtrack of your life kind of way. And your podcast and your shows, they all have a regular radio feel to it. You don't want to get
it's that sense of community,
right?
It's that thing of like we belong to something. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to know that we belong to something, and I think that's what's lost in some markets when they don't have really strong local radio. It's such a shame because you look forward to like, oh, the band is coming to our town.
Yeah.
Oh, we're celebrating this thing this week. We're getting together and looking for his eye patch.
Why was I even wearing that? But you're right. And then when a band would come to town and they were playing your city, town, I was like, oh, them. Like an old girlfriend, because only him, boo. Do you remember a time when? I mean, I know we've mentioned the George Carlin picture behind you, and I know he's very important, to you. Do you remember a time as an audience member where you had that gasping, doubled over moment where you were responding to a comedian on stage?
You mean in the past? Like
for your entire life.
Yeah,
I'll give you a good broad time frame.
Comedy's such a funny thing that like you could just be watching a bunch of people, especially like on YouTube now.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch different people at different times, and you're just like you said, like, oh, that's funny. You just kind of chuckle. And I watched John Panette a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And remember John Panette?
Yeah.
Man, he just hooked me. And I'm alone in my room, just literally, he got me. He and every line was making me laugh harder, and I was trying not to laugh so I could hear the next line. And I was like, oh man, this is such a beautiful thing. This guy just up there yelling about corn dogs. But I always tend to, I like stuff like Carlin, and I love like stuff that has a little meaning to it, but I also love, that was the thing I liked about Carlin, was that he also combined it with being very silly.
Yeah.
Like in Carnegie Hall, like he would be talking about something heavy and political, and all of a sudden he's pretending he's a crab walking across the stage.
That's great.
I'm always attracted to silly because I have a very low IQ.
Well, Robert Klein was I remember seeing Robert Klein when I was in college, and that was it. What you just described. There was, he didn't dismiss that part of the audience that would respond well to that, as because I'm sure you designed your act in a way to hit different group. You want to hit the largest group, but you also want to have people go, that was for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really plan it. You just gotta kind of do what you think is funny.
Right.
You just gotta do, like, if it makes you laugh, and then all of a sudden it hits with a couple people, and you can't really plan out, like, I want to try and get this group, because like you said, I don't even know who's out there.
Right.
I don't know who's in the audience. It could just be
Shriners.
Yeah. Or all stoners. I have no idea.
Do you still pop into the clubs in LA when you're working on material and stuff? And how often?
Yeah. I'm going to the Comedy Store tonight. That's where I've been going mostly, is Comedy Store in Largo.
I'm so jealous of New Yorkers and LA people, because you just go to a club on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and it's like, oh, well, it's Tom Papa.
A marquee name.
All 10 marquee names in one night. That's just, to me, it's mind-blowing.
It is pretty. I know they always, the Comedy Store always takes a picture of the lineup and posts it, and all the comments are like kids from Kansas, like, God, what's wrong with me? Why do I live here?
Well, we do have our moments.
Be in LA.
You can go into a restaurant here on any given night and see Jervis from the first season of Survivor.
Yeah.
Ooh, no way. See, you really, it's bad enough I can't be in the studio with you. Now you got to throw that at me.
So I'm looking at some of the guests that you've had on your podcast, and I wanted to ask about, because growing up, I watched short attention span theater, the half-hour comedy hour. I loved all of that stuff, and so you would see just snippets of all these comedians, and Judy Gold was one of them.
Yeah.
And is she known as the Holla Queen?
The Holla Queen?
Or is that just because it's on the Breaking Bread podcast?
Yeah. Oh, holla. Yeah. Oh man. I thought for a minute I thought you were making some Holocaust joke.
No. Oh God. No.
Listen, people. Casey's Holocaust material is amazing.
Oh my God.
And you think, this is just going to go south, but the way he finesses it.
When he sent me that text at 4:30 this morning, he was like, "Wait till you see the Holocaust joke I've got for you today." No, yes, challah, the bread challah.
Yeah.
Yes, Judy Gold is amazing making challah bread. I had no idea. I love Judy to death. She's one of my favorites. She's such a force. I put her in my live shows in New York, and I came on. She came on to the Breaking Bread podcast, and her background that she put for Zoom was one giant piece of challah that she had made.
So talking about that time in my life when I watched a lot of short attention span theater, she had a punchline that, like, I mean, what was this, like 1989? How many years later, 32 years later, I still remember the punchline, and it was silly. She was talking about getting changed in a dressing room, and the lady opens up the curtain, and she says, like, I don't need your help. Like, I'm naked with a belt on. And I don't know why that punchline sticks out to me so much. And I think it's because it didn't dawn on me that, like, I think she might have been trying to steal a belt. Otherwise, why would you be naked with a belt on? And I don't know, but I loved that time in my life when I was just discovering these comedians.
The Judy Gold age.
Yeah, it was Judy. But listen, I mean, it was Norm Macdonald.
Yeah,
he had a big thing about wiener dogs back then. Like I remember that because
it sounds like you were going through puberty.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds like between Judy Gold naked in a dressing room and Norm Macdonald going
wiener
with his wiener. It sounds to me, Casey, like you were becoming a man.
I was.
You were becoming a man.
I'm still working on it, Tom.
And now he gets in touch with you at 4:30. It's all good. So is this an extended tour that you're going to be doing, or?
Yeah, I'm on tour pretty heavily through September, and then in September I shoot my next Netflix specials.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's all building up to that.
Tom, I wanted to touch on the bread for a moment because we wouldn't be talking to you.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit of sourdough bread. Have you ever addressed the sourdough bowl concept and how you on that? Does it seem like kind of a big waste? I like sourdough bowls, but it would seem like kind of a waste of all that bread.
Yeah, I only like it if when I'm in, because a lot of places those are in theme parks and stuff, and I only like the sourdough bowls if I see the person eating the bowl when they're done with the chowder.
There you go.
I think
like
that's...
if I look over and saw you gnawing at it, I would be happy. If someone just uses it as a bowl, I'm very offended.
Why not a cup? Why not make can you make a sourdough cup? They just
a little bit tiny,
like a shot glass?
No, not
the sourdough.
You
There's
just
a
walk
loaf
around with it. Just walk around town and munching on your cup.
See, they could make the hat where you put two of them up here. And
two sourdoughs with tomato
Princess
soup
Leia
coming out.
ears.
Do sourdough loaves need to be a certain size, or could they make a little one like Casey says, a
Muffin
cup size?
Casey's not wrong. Casey's not wrong. You could make them any size you want.
All right.
You can make them any size. You can make them medium size and pretend they're Judy Gold's boobs.
By the way, I want you to know I'm keeping your sourdough starter alive. It is in my refrigerator. I tend to it. It is. I have to be honest. I am terrified to make a bread. Because Preston had a story the other day about Robert Plant breaking the strap on Paul McCartney's classic bass, and I'm like, if I have a Tom Pappas starter dough,
it's a lot like that.
You've never tried to make a loaf?
I was just about to do it. I had during the holidays, and turns out our neighbor is a wonder sour, dough bread maker, and we happened to get a loaf, and I'm like, I can't. I don't think I'm ready.
You gotta do it, man.
I know. It's like dancing the red shoes.
I have to make a suggestion here, and Steve, you probably will disagree and and cringe at the suggestion.
I love it as a child, though.
But you don't live far from the Keswick Theater. I think Tom should come over on Saturday before his show and make a dough.
Tom, if you can also bring some gardening shears, I'd like a little yard work done as well.
Yeah, I'm the Martha Stewart of comedy.
Yeah, we can make scarecrows for the holidays.
We're gonna dye some Easter eggs. Get ready early.
Yeah, you got to dive in and give it a try, Steve. You
just
won't mess it up.
terrified.
It's all right, man.
Yeah, all right.
Don't be a baby. And you're only taking a tablespoon of it. You leave the rest there. It's protected.
I just know to look up at me and go, "Hey, why?
What are you doing?
Why are you wearing that eye patch?"
If only he had two eyes, he could have made bread. He could have made bread.
All right. Well, listen, we want Tom's show to sell out. There's just a few tickets left. He's playing Saturday. The show's at 8:00.
You're going to love it.
KeswickTheater.com. Without a question, Tom is absolute one of the best, and you will have a good time.
TikTok star.
You will laugh. He's a TikTok star. Bring the kids.
Yes.
They'll love it. But tickets are on sale now. So, Tom, it is great to talk to you. See you here in the
Great
studio
to see you.
next time. All right, my man?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Love you guys.
Love you. Tom Papa, guys. Please welcome Will Friedle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Thanks for being here, man.
This has been so much fun so
Has
far.
it?
Yeah. Oh, man, we were at the Phillies game last night. We got to dance with the Fanatic. It was incredible.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
it was really amazing.
That's
really
pretty-
like bucket list kind of stuff. So
Totally. I remember my first time interacting with the Fanatic. I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
It was really cool. And we also got to see a game. We walked out and it was 5-0, and then they came back and
Yeah.
everyone smacking home runs. It was the coolest thing in the world.
And the best part was a game that really didn't matter.
That's what everybody said. They're like, it might be a little subdued tonight because they won the night before. It wasn't subdued. It was great.
Still okay. I love seeing this reaction to Boy Meets World. We're fans of all sorts of genre stuff, and see any rabid fan reaction to something like this, and you are seeing it. And it's just packing theater. It sits in so many people's nostalgic, wonderful memories. The show itself, when it ran originally, was a modest hit. It did okay.
If that, we were kind of on.
Right.
That's how we look at it.
Yeah.
We always
You
said,
described it like the Wings of
It
right?
was. It was Wings. It was like, if you liked Wings, then Wings was great.
Yeah.
Other people were like, what is that? But it ran 8 seasons. That was Boy Meets World.
8.
Yeah, we were never on, in TV Guide or anything. We just kind of kept going. We thought we were doing it for our grandparents. So, which is great. And then the second run happened on I think it went right to ABC Family and then to Disney and then to MTV.
And then it exploded.
And then by that point, it was important, yeah.
So Boy Meets World was a little. I was not age appropriate to be watching that show.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
But I do remember passing by and seeing Danielle Fishellen, and I would go, "That girl."
Yeah.
I'm changing the channel right now.
Yeah.
Because she's
It
way
was
too
not-
young.
no.
But you could tell immediately she was a stunner, without question. So she is at the event.
She is.
And so is Ryder Strong.
Also a stunner.
And
he is a stunner.
Also a stunner.
But do you guys have some other guests who are going to be joining as well?
We do. We've got Trina McGee's coming in, who played Angela on the show. We've got Tony Quinn, who played Mr. Turner, and a local boy, Mr. Matthew Lawrence, is going to be joining us. As well. So the Lawrences are coming back to Philly for us. Yeah, that's awesome.
You've had many of the different appearances, people being swapped in and out, and special guests, and so on and so forth. A question for you is, as the show came into its own, have you been surprised by people who are now mature, perhaps celebrities in their own right, who are fans of Boy Meets World?
Well, first of all, they're usually fans of Danielle. So that's, as long as we're with her, we're cool,
Right,
which is good. But we are. We get a lot of. We were at the iHeart Music Festival last
3 WMMR.
Thank you, Kathy. As we welcome our next guest, Casey wanted me to play this song because we've had him on so many times. We're pretty much best friends now.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least in our delusional minds.
He is promoting a film that is actually opening Thursday night, 10 p.m. on Netflix. So you can get it that evening. It had been saying that it was going to be on Friday, but it's going to be Thursday night. Casey's actually hosting a screening of that movie tonight. It is a labor of love. It is a long time making. It is called Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. And we have the writer and director and best friend, Zack Snyder. who's on the show. Hey, Zach.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How you doing, man?
Awesome. Oh, it's so good to be here. And I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic.
Is it a little bit, now you've obviously done this many, many times in your career as you're heading into the release date. Is this kind of like putting your kid on the bus to school for the first day and just not knowing how it's going to work out? Or, are there little sensations like that?
Yeah, in some ways, but in a lot of ways for me, I'm just like, I've been working on it for quite a while, so I'm happy. It's more like, my 36-year-old who's been, living above the garage, and I'm like, you gotta
get out.
You
gotta get out.
You gotta go.
I like that better.
Your movies are so sprawling and so intricate on one level, and then the macro and the micro, but this began. You were a Star Wars fan as a kid, from what I understand. You would do stop motion with the figures, little films, and so on and so forth. And so a lifelong Star Wars fan, and you had this at one point, and this is the rumor, this was perhaps your intent to put this into the Star Wars chronology. Was that, in fact, the original intent of Rebel Moon?
Well, probably before that. Yeah, that is true. I mean, I did pitch it to Kathleen Kennedy over at Star Wars before the sale to Disney. And they seemed pretty into it. But actually before that, it was its own universe that I had created. But, I felt like because of the, how I had been inspired, I just thought, maybe it's cool. And then while I was in the midst of talking to them, they sold Star Wars to Disney, and they had their own plans. So
right.
We were like, thank you. I will go my way, and I will, I will create a world from scratch. And that, as always, that's funny to say. When you create a world from scratch, do it this way. No, so it did take a little bit of effort to, to generate. All the design and the mythology and everything we had to do to kind of literally create a universe. And now we've gone down quite a rabbit hole, as you can imagine, of design and, origin stories. Because, when you create a world from scratch, we like to go back to sort of literally what is the genesis story of this culture, that is to say that we create the myths, the origin myths. And you may never see it in the movie, but we like to know the worldview, say, of whatever culture, the bad guys in our movie. We've done a ton of work just to make sure that it's a really rich and really well thought out, culture, so that when the bad guys come, you really do know their worldview, and you do understand what they want, which is, pretty much to just destroy everything.
Well,
rude.
In a way, you're not, and you free yourself from the Star Wars canon. You can do this is a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. Keep going. Yeah.
Right. You can be more aggressive. So the imagery, and I'm so stoked to see this. I was trying to pull every string to get in advance of the interview to see it, but I've seen a lot. I'm seeing a lot of imagery that reminds me of an artist I used to love, Frank Frazetta. And
huge Franzetta fan.
Yeah.
Huge Franzetta fan, yeah.
I used to have that 6-foot Conan the Barbarian painting on the back of the door that he had done. And then a lot of heavy metal magazine, which I used to love.
Yes. Those were huge inspirations for me. The truth is, I'm just a big fan of fantasy. And I think that was really kind of, in a lot of ways, the evolution of my aesthetic, when I was growing up. And in a lot of ways, it's a love letter to kind of this, the journey I went on, cinematic journey I went on, kind of from, when I was 11 years old till I was kind of like a sophomore in college. That's when we all kind of become sort of who we are aesthetically. You know, we go on that journey with the movies we love, the paintings we fall in love with, the Franzetta freak show that we go on, you know, and I just like that definitely went on that journey and fell in love with fantasy art and sort of fantasy mythology and movies and literature and anything I could get my hands on that kind of, you know, was bigger than our universe and sort of our way. And the metaphors, frankly, you know, the way that you could tell like universal stories, you know, with this sort of, you know, through this fantasy lens, I really thought was a really cool and awesome kind of place. And I've gone on that same cinematic journey with my own movies, but kind of felt like, you know, it's a good time to just go back and do this awesome sci-fi, crazy sci-fi epic. It's a two-parter. We shot the movies back to back. We shot two movies back to back, and one will come out on the 21st, as you said, and one will come out in April.
So basically, you the premiere, the rollout, the big thing, and then you're back, you know, finishing up the second one. So you get a not even a break before you're back to the mind of making sure the second one is fully ready for its debut. Correct?
Yeah, 100%. Normally, the thing that's cool is I have the premiere, the movie's about to come out, I go to Tahiti, and it's awesome. I just like basically get on an IV at the beach and like try and survive. But I like got to go back to the office today and work on movie 2. So it's kind of cool. It's cool and not cool at the same time. But I'm excited because I'm excited for people to, you know, if this is the setup movie, you know, the second movie is kind of, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but it's war.
Yeah, no, listen, that's absolutely fine. And you were talking about what influences you as you know, through the years and what you look for and what sort of those formative stages, what excites you as a filmmaker. I always love, like, you know, with Kubrick and other directors such as yourself, you know, you could take snapshots of different scenes of movies and they're just works of art. And you achieve a look right out of the gate.
Yes.
You know, it's clear the amount of background that you put into creating these worlds. And so you obviously you're an artist as well, but a lot of times people kind of use the phrase like fan service and almost like diminishing that. And I'm like, there's so many moments in your films where I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. And that can only be because you are yourself a film lover.
Well, yes, it's interesting because for me, you know, also there is another conversation that happens like as we grow, like these are the films that we loved, and I am notorious. I like to think, and I get in trouble for it sometimes, where I go after, you know, I went after the DC canon pretty hard in that I like to deconstruct canon a lot, and sort of like get at the why, mythological why of a lot of these things. Like, for instance, you know, with Batman and Superman, there was a lot of, when you look at my Justice League, and Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel as a trilogy, there's a lot of sort of putting the canon under a microscope and like asking why, you know, like why do we think these things about these superheroes? And I have huge respect for them, of course, and I'm never interested in breaking the characters, but I am interested in understanding them. And I think the same thing is true with this movie. There's a lot of tropes in sci-fi, and there's a lot of tropes that we sort of blindly follow, you know, into our science fiction fantasy. And as you grow as a filmmaker and as a sort of a storyteller, one of the main things that I find myself always doing is kind of challenging the convention of the thing. And some may look at it as like, oh, look, he's doing that thing, that cliched thing that everyone does in these movies. But at the same time, I think in our case, you know, we really did try and say like, but why? Like, what happens? Like what happens when, like, you know, heroes walk into a bar in space, and you're having a conversation with a Star Wars movie. There's no way. If you're not, then you live under a rock.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. There's like a reality to the iconography that Star Wars, the swath that Star Wars cuts across our pop culture is much bigger than it's not bigger than you think because it's gigantic. Everyone knows that, but it's in your subconscious. It's really everywhere.
Well,
so it was a challenge for us to challenge that too.
To that point, and people don't realize, maybe some do, Star Wars is basically the Hidden Fortress, Akira Kurosawa's movie, right down to an R2-D2 and C-3PO type character. It's how you turn it, how you take Batman and find out, why they're inspired. And with Rebel Moon, you need to understand why the villains are doing what they're doing, or else they're just mustache twirlers, and it's
100%. I find it really. I found it really fun, and I found it really fun to kind of press the tropes and press the origin stories of all these movies. My movie has a lot of reference to also to Throne of Blood and also to Seven Samurai and Magnificent Seven and all the kind of and a lot of even Searchers, a lot of the same Westerns, that inspired George Lucas.
Yeah.
I kind of went back and watched again and said, what is the thing? What is the why of these things? And tried to, sort of reapply it again. It's you go back to the sort of origin stories of this mythology, and you kind of get it oh, that's why it inspired him to do it this way,
Yeah, yeah.
I find it really fascinating and frankly really fun to kind of peel back the onion as much as you can,
Yeah, I got to say, and I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of billions of people when I say thank you for doing what you do, because, for me, I'm just the guy who sits there and waits for geniuses to create things for me to enjoy. And this is something that's always been in your blood. You are an artist, and and I also know that you paint, so you're an artist in that regard as well. So I wanted to ask, when you're creating this universe, and I'm talking about any universe, whether it be the Star Wars universe or the Lord of the Rings or the Game of Thrones, you're creating this stuff from scratch, and you really have to pay very, very close attention to detail. Are you doing that on your own? Do you have a team that you know what I mean? When you're creating this from scratch, you have to have a lot of minds on this to make sure that it all works.
Yeah, of course. I have amazing collaborators that I work with all the time, and really rely on in some ways for all the mythological discussions we have, and someone's going to do. If we do a deep dive on some sort of ancient Roman mythology, I might be on some rant about what I think it is, and then of course we'll do the real work and find out okay, what does it mean? What did they really mean? And then that's when you're reading Joseph Campbell or
right.
Whatever kind of decoders there are in the world who decode this incredible wealth of information we have about the human experience. You try and get to that stuff as much as you can, especially in my case where I'm kind of taking that and stylizing it and trying to hide it a little bit so that you think it's a movie or that you're watching a story unfold for the first time in front of you, and really we're trying to kind of tap you into some primordial mythological mixture that I'm trying to feed you. So it's a double game, all the time for me anyway. When I make a movie, I try and play a double game, entertain you, but also kind of make you sort of question why you feel the things you feel.
I was listening to an interview with Gareth Edwards. He did a movie called The Creator, and recently, and it's just amazing. And he shot it basically on an amped up, Sony camera, and but he was talking. It was reminding me of you. He's an artist as well. He to understand the effects. You're your own cinematographer for most of these movies, correct? You're the one holding the camera.
I shot this movie up.
And in that way, I think there's such a direct connection to what you're putting up on screen that I think sometimes other directors, in the guy sitting in the chair, the Otto Preminger there, not that he wasn't a great director, but there's a level removed from that. You guys are are all hands on. So with that comes, you're juggling that whole technical aspect, and then you're juggling the cast and directing the actors, and you have a stellar cast for this film. We're big fans of. Butella, Preston and I were trying to figure right.
Butella.
Sophia Butella, yes, and Anthony Hopkins and Charlie Hunnam and
Jenna Malone,
Ray Fisher, who obviously we loved as a cyborg.
Yeah.
By the way, looking super bulky. I mean,
dude, he's so big. Well, he had been doing well right at the end. He has that sort of that Muhammad Ali play that he was in,
right?
And so he's always in pretty good shape. And that play's incredible. But he's amazing. And he just trained. I have this friend of mine who's a trainer, Alessandro, who trained everybody. And everyone really got in the gym and really put their head down and did the work. And, you see him when you watch the movie, everyone's incredible.
Well, it's funny. Charlie Hunnam I was reading an interview with him, and he was talking. He didn't realize that it was kind of mandated that you do this. And he's the dude's in good shape to begin with, but everyone is just in stellar shape. But they revealed, and a couple of the actors were exchanging takes on this about getting into shape and working out and doing this whole thing. They said there was such a camaraderie that formed during the times they were in the gym together working out, so that they're supposed to be this ragtag band that's collected together, to fight evil. And that in a way, they develop that sort of kinship and friendship as a bond as a result of the working out. So in your nefarious plan, is that what you're really looking for?
Yeah, it is. It's true, because you think about these actors and they're, they have their own lives, especially when we shoot in we shot the movie in L.A. for the first time. I've never shot a movie in L.A. I didn't know that you could, but apparently you can film in Hollywood. The cameras work in Hollywood. I didn't know that they did. They told me for years. They sent me to Bulgaria or wherever to make these movies, and I was just under the delusion that the cameras just didn't work here, but apparently they do. But these guys could all go home, and it's like a lot of them live here, and so the gym became like this clubhouse where they could kind of, there's no reason for them to sort of get together sort of socially, with this hard work schedule and, learning the stunt choreography and I think, it's a busy time, but to have that time in the gym, and we built a really cool gym. I always like to, I built the gym for Justice League. I always built gyms. When we did Justice League, I found this old bar from an old bar in England,
Yeah.
I put it in the side, and we'd have our we could all sort of sit at the bar after our workout and talk about whatever. It was always super fun. And here we had sofas. We had this kind of common area, and it's just this cool refrigerator, full of whatever, refreshments the guys wanted and everything. But it just turned into this place where these guys could go and really kind of bond with each other, and absolutely it was by design. I thought it was an amazing way to kind of turn them into a unit, and it really, really worked. And they became great friends. Frankly, you should see them when we went on the press tour. They were all just constantly just being hilarious with each other and just hanging out, and it was just really beautiful to see.
I love that. In fact, somebody was a couple of interviews I've watched lately, and some of the older Hollywood stuff. They sort of bemoan the fact that you kind of run in. Now you do your role and you're out. And there used to be more of sort of there was a little camp, and there would be more of the chance for the actors to sort of interact, and there were dynamics that a director could take advantage of. I remember on Animal House, the word was that Landis actually kept the two factions separate but together, so they felt kinship with their respective groups, which is kind of cool. But in this, Sophia Butella, give us the thumbnail sketch of what we can expect with Rebel Moon, because it sounds very cool.
Yeah, so the basic idea is that there's this community of farmers on the edge of the galaxy, and the bad guys are, a big, we call them, it's called the Mother World, and they have this giant sort of dreadnought cruiser that they plow around the galaxy in, and they come to our farming community because they've stretched their resources at the edge of the galaxy in pursuit of these rebels. And they land in our village, and they're like, look, while we're in this area of the galaxy, we need to feed our soldiers, so we're going to need your crops. And we know you just planted them, so in 10 weeks, we'll be back to, take all your food. And so the guys have to decide, like, what do they do? Do they fight? Because if they take all, they're going to starve to death anyway. And so they know they can't beat them, so they, go out into the galaxy to collect warriors to fight for them, to fight with them. And, it's about the sort of collecting of these different warriors and the forming of a sort of a defense of the village and what that all means, not only to the villagers who are, peace-loving, custodians of the earth, but also to the sort of redemptive tales of these like lost warriors that need to find, some catharsis in combat. So that's the basic story. And, our different characters are, as you can imagine, an eclectic group that come from all sorts of different backgrounds and have all sorts of different incredible sort of stories that, when they form a team, each of those flaws become like assets.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that can be made. You have one of your co-writers is Shay Hatton. Is that his name?
Yeah, Shay Hatton. Yeah.
So he comes from the John Wick world, which is another world building sort of thing. I think Kurt Johnstad is was a co-writer on 300 with you.
Yep.
Right. So these things work because they work. It taps into something within all of us. You want to fight against injustice. You want to see the underdog win. And so that's why these things, for me, these kind of stories can be told over and over again. Let me ask you, just on a technical note, we were seeing sort of a teaser pictures of like a practical ship that you'd had built and having practical sets. How important is that to you as a director and for actors to have, something that's not completely CGI, something there that they can actually...
Yeah, as much as we can. I like to. We built that giant village in Santa Clarita up the road from the house here. We built it was a massive village. All these sets were indoor, practical. So we shot all the interiors physically inside the set. So we built a longhouse and the granary were all built for real. We built that river that goes through, and we built the drop ship, 1-to-1 drop ship. So we have one, that we could, the guys could come in and out of it, and really had this a lot of real amazing and tactile physical things for everyone to kind of interact with, because especially in a space movie, it is a lot of green screen. There's no two ways about it. But I like to anchor them as much as I can to some little piece of reality that lets them, be immersed in the world as much as anyone else. And everyone did an amazing job at kind of, believing in the reality of the movie. And I thought that you can see it in the way they sort of interact, especially with the bad guys when they show up. It's very much, they're a scary group, intimidating group.
So it's funny. Sometimes I see you getting dinged for the use of slow-mo, and I love the slow-mo stuff. And I know a lot of people do, like in The Watchmen, and just in anything in general, there's an art to it. You nail it. And I was reading, I forget who, one of the actors talks about learning to act and being surprised how something looks, in slow motion, in the classic, Zack Snyder slow motion. Are there special instructions you give to someone when it's your plan to give us a really elaborate slow-mo shot? Do you have to direct differently? What's involved with it?
No, I like to. I think it's a fun surprise. I think to have them do their normal stuff, and then when you see it back and sort of have, protracted it through time in the way that a good high-speed shot can do. That's just fun, and they'll never they can pry the slow motion camera out of my cold dead hand.
Keep going because it's funny. The first time any filmmaker, and I did some film work in school. The first time you get the ability to do that, even in a relaxed sort of way, it's like, oh, that looks so good. It looks so good. Yeah.
Zach, I wanted to ask, we mentioned the impressive cast that you have, and one of the names that we didn't bring up was Sir Anthony Hopkins with a voice role. And who is he going to be portraying?
He portrays this robot called Jimmy, who's like a battle robot. He's like from the old sort of the old we call them the Order of 12. But there are these like ancient robots that have been part of the Mother World's forces for years, and recently in the mythology, the king has been assassinated. The king who ruled over the Mother World that these robots served, and since the assassination of the king, these robots have kind of refused to fight. They've kind of become like conscientious objectors, and they're just like these. So they've kind of lost their will. They just act as like forklifts. They move stuff around. They're not very they're kind of sad. And it's about and our Jimmy, we call him Jimmy's. Our Jimmy is on this sort of journey of discovery to just sort of to rekindle the why of his existence, and that's kind of what. And you can imagine Hopkins is very. He's a good a voice and perspective on Zack. He would say to me, it's incredible. But to work with him,
I was going to ask. I'm sure you were there, for the sessions, and that had to have been pretty awesome.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
How do you fight the urge if you're sitting with him and you're sharing a meal or something to just ask him to put a little deli meat on his face to give you some Hannibal Lecter?
He's cool because he will do it. Like if you ask him, he'll do it. It's like he just loves it, and that's the thing I think that's amazing about him is he's not pretentious in any way, and he's just so cool.
I would have to say, Tony, can you call me Clarice, please?
Yeah, he literally will. He'll do it, and it's like crazy. It's just you don't want to abuse it. You got to measure it out.
You know when to parse it out.
Man, Zach, I saw.
You got to be careful with it because it's so good.
Just recently, Watchmen has been resurging on some of the cable channels, and Steve and I have been saying, man, it was on last night.
Yeah.
We were just like, it's one of our absolute favorites. And you tackled hallowed ground with that piece of work, and I thought you did an exceptional job. And I know this would never happen because I think they're already working in it. But man, there are books and stories that I'm like, I would like to see Zack Snyder take a crack at this, like The Dark Tower from Stephen King. But
I've always been a huge fan of Dark Tower, by the way. So yeah.
But that's another gigantic world that would just be this huge epic and take forever. I'm sure you've got loads of stuff on your wish list, but there's only so much time that a person has.
True.
Yeah. Well,
the only one. There's one. The one that I would do, I think. The only one left for me, sort of in that. I mean, there's a bunch of those for me. I mean, that are out there, but the one in sort of the comic book world is Dark Knight Returns. That one I would be interested, just because I feel like if you do Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen, you really don't have anything. There's nothing more to say.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. You kind of did like, okay, now you really. We're going to talk more about this. So yeah, that one I've always I've talked to Frank about it too, and I think that he knows that I love it, and I don't know.
Oh well, you can put me in the I would love it too list because that would be sensational. But obviously, you still have the Army of the Dead universe progressing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We loved Army of Thieves and and the whole progression with that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the chamber, as they say. But your focus obviously is on the second of the films, and you said it's April when it comes out.
Yeah, it's April. It comes out in April, and really, it's a massive. When you watch this movie one, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this is a big movie." And movie two, weirdly, it's like it goes completely through the roof. So it's kind of fun to to see this movie and be like, well, I thought this was the big giant sci-fi movie. It is, but I think I think that you'll see when you see the end of the movie, you kind of will get a sense of where it's going.
Okay.
It's part one. It's part one of a two-parter. And then the obvious question, Zach, when does the director's cut come out?
The director's cut. Well, it was really cool. What Netflix did with this movie was the script that I wrote was very much very adult and very R-rated. Very great. And part of the reason I did that in the original concept was really part of this sort of deconstruction of the genre was to make an adult version of the sort of my childhood sci-fi tropes and my childhood sci-fi, like where I was created. I was like, well, what happens when that grows up? What happens when that, gets twisted by heavy metal into something else, and I really loved that conversation. And so they knew that was that was what I wanted to do. I really wanted, because I feel like the tropes are much easier to deconstruct when you can sort of see the contrast and sort of go, whoa, right, oh shit. That's what he meant. So what we did was that they made this deal with me where they said, listen, we really understand what you're trying to do. We would love it if you could make a PG-13 version of this movie because, it would, have broader appeal and be like a little bit more for everyone. And I said, you know what? But then they were like, but we would love for you to we'd love for audiences to be able to, appropriate audiences, be able to, consume what you wanted from the very start. And I said, you know what, that's a cool deal. I'm down. So that's what you'll get when the director's cuts come out this summer. Is and then basically, I've never done this before. We built into the production my ability to kind of shoot both movies. Well, when I say both movies, I mean the PG-13 and the crazy hard R-rated version. Oh. And so when you see it in the summer, you really get to go on a much sort of different journey.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's very cool.
So I'm curious, Zach, do you have free time? And if you do have free time, what do you like to do in your free time? Because earlier I had mentioned that you paint, or at least you used to paint. Is that something that you do? What do you do?
I draw a ton. I've been doing a fair amount of pottery lately. I've been making a lot of. I've been doing a lot of hand building. I don't have a wheel, but it allows me to sort of stay with the family. I can kind of build a coffee mug while I'm sitting in the living room with everybody. I don't have to retreat to my pottery. I mean, I do have 2 kilns and I do have a pottery studio at the house, but it's just a way. I was playing a lot of Fortnite. I think that's side famous.
Oh, stop it! Really?
Okay. Did you? I have to ask.
Was like, no, I will not. She'd catch me playing Fortnite at 3 a.m. Was like, no.
Zach, so do you mean to tell me people were gaming with Zack Snyder on Fortnite and didn't have any idea?
Yeah, a lot of people were probably. I play Mr. Minxies from. That's my character I play from. From Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
and
that's your avatar.
That's my avatar, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so actually, just in the last couple of days, I got back in a little bit just to look at the new map. So, I was roaming around shooting 12-year-olds.
This is what you want.
Yeah.
You want the kid making your movie.
That's it. That's it.
Zach, I got to tell you something my son's been doing lately is because he's been playing Fortnite, and it's a great way to stay connected with his friends and stuff. He's 16 years old, but he will play Fortnite while he's doing his homework, and all he does is he'll just camp. Right. And so he's just, I guess maybe, I don't know Fortnite all that well. I guess maybe he's just trying to build up his status or whatever.
Right.
But he will literally, as he's doing his homework, just kind of find a bush and hang out there for a little bit. So even when he's
That is cool. And then just like shoot me in the back. Yes. I got you. I got that.
Yeah, basically, that's just re-established your legend that much further that you love taking out kids on Fortnite is hilarious.
Yeah, you know.
Well, so let me ask you one last
drama
question.
on that game works for a reason.
Yeah. Would a video game ever be in your future for the hell of it?
Well, we're absolutely. We built a mobile game for the movie, and we're going to build. It's my hope, my dream to build a large platform game when we get a chance.
Excellent.
I would really love that. Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice. All right. Well, we have a screening of it tonight. The movie officially opens on Netflix Thursday night at 10 p.m. We'll be able to check that out. And then we just wait around. We enjoy this, watch it a few times, get ready for the second movie coming out in the spring. It's all big stuff, man.
And then catch the naughty version in the summer, too.
Yeah, naughty version coming.
Plenty to be had.
Excellent. That is the official name of it.
The naughty
version.
I would love to see that happen.
We were going to reveal it. We were going to reveal it in the press.
Sorry, I shot it.
All right. Well, Zach, congratulations again, and we're really excited. We're obviously, we're huge fans. So thank you so much for doing what you do.
It's great to talk to you guys. You're the best.
Excellent, man. All right, well, have a great holiday and everything, and we're looking forward to the movie. We'll talk to you soon. Zack Snyder, everyone.
See you guys. Thank
We'll see you. You got it.
Great guy.
Fortnite.
I believe that.
That's so cool.
But you're right. I mean, he's us with tremendously more talent.
Yeah. And resources and all the great things to make awesome stuff happen. So Rebel Moon Part 1 comes out on Thursday night, 10 p.m. on Netflix.
Yeah, I think about people like him or Michael Giacchino who that's just who they are at their core, right?
Yes.
Like, so they were never an aspiring artist. They were never an aspiring musician or an aspiring filmmaker. They always were. Do you know what I mean?
They just needed to get the skill set together to follow through on it. No, I completely agree with you. I mean,
well, those two guys that you said are perfect examples, and I hate to keep going back to this, but I just read the book, Curtis Armstrong, Revenge of the Nerd. A big theme in that is the people that were quote-unquote nerdy back in the 1980s and so on have really risen to form.
Sure.
And Giacchino would absolutely be one of those guys. I mean, he still plays. He gets together with his buddies and plays board games.
You know what ends up happening is I end up like tittering like a fool because I'm like, yes.
I know.
It's but that's it.
It's a great redemption.
If we're fanboys, yes. Call us fanboys. We are.
All right. That was a wonderful conversation, and I would like to cap it with the final ticket to the Christmas Miracle.
You believe in miracles?
Yes. All right. Caller number 20. 25 is what we're going to take. Not just 25, not 25. Caller 25 at 215-263-WMMR. You're the last person to get the golden ticket.
Oh, my God.
To join us at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, presented by Phoenixville First, tomorrow morning, dark and early, because the sun doesn't rise till after like 6:30. And we will see you there in your ugly sweater, possibly winning a year's worth of beer from Miller Lite and lots of great prizes. Everybody is going to get something. We do guarantee that. But some people are going to get some really cool prizes on top of that stuff that we have that's guaranteed. So let's take your call now and put you on the list, and we will get set for that tomorrow. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back in a moment. Some bizarre file stories for you.
Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR.
In Vegas, and a lot of these artists who I frankly didn't know who a lot of them were, if I'm honest, were coming up and wanting to take pictures and all this. It was great. It was really cool. We had no idea. And I think by doing this tour, we're getting out there, and the fans are incredible and packing theaters, like you said. I mean, we just didn't think it was going to happen, frankly.
So we just had recently the cast of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia came in, and they did a live podcast event. They've done it a few times here. Similar format as well. They'll put episodes up. They'll talk about those episodes and specifically what was going on during filming. Similar thing that you guys are doing?
We do that's for the podcast. That's what we do. For the live show, we do a whole new thing, which is fun. We got a big costume contest, so people are coming dressed like their favorite characters. We do we bring somebody on stage play one of the characters, and we do a whole scene that we make up on the spot.
That's cool.
We do trivia, so we just have a ton of fun. We really do.
No, that's a cool thing. And as we said, so we're friends with as you would imagine, the It's Always Sunny cast because it's Philadelphia, and over the years we've by sheer force. But to be able to super serve your fans this way, this is something for years that never existed. Where where it was always that was the past. I don't want to embrace that. And there's so many people who go, but I still want a little bit more. And it seems to me, knowing about your career, that you always have appreciated what got you to the dance.
That's you have to. It's one of those things where I've always said, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. So I wasn't even the first person to play the character. They cast somebody else in the pilot, and he just wasn't tall enough
because they thought Ben would grow.
Ben was going to grow,
and it would seem weird for your younger brother to be bigger than you. Yeah,
I always say that actor is 5 inches taller, and I'm not sitting here right now. So you never know what's going to happen. So you do meet some actors that kind of turn their back on what got them where they are, and I never got that. Where I'm just very happy to be embracing and enjoy it. It's just fun.
I can see writing down an application. My most attractive or feature or my height. Yeah, my height.
I'm 5 inches taller than the other
5
guy.
inches. Why do you think you deserve this job? Because I'm tall.
I'm taller than the other guy. Yeah.
Well, I became aware of you. Well, I was aware of you. Obviously, I was Boy Meets World was out of my appropriate viewing circle at that point in time, but Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Batman Beyond was huge.
Yeah.
And I remember the blowback on that originally, and I'm like, I love this series. You got to work with Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy,
Yeah, the legendary Batman, a voiceover actor, passed away recently.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. I mean, and I know you going through the list of superheroes that you Deadpool, Bumblebee, Blue Beetle, Star-Lord, Green Lantern, but also Lionel and Thundercats.
Yeah, that was that was a tough one because they were going to reboot Thundercats, which is one of my favorite shows of all time as a kid.
Yeah,
and I got the part of Lionel, which is crazy. And then I started writing for the series as well. So we finished the first season, and we got picked up for the second season. I'd already written the first 3 episodes of the second season, and then the toys weren't selling, so they pulled the green light. And it ended with Mum-Ra winning. And it's like, how can you have a kid's cartoon where the bad guy wins? Yes.
He wins?
He won at the end of our series because we were supposed to get picked up and fight back. And it was like they ended with Empire Strikes Back.
That's like
Hans and Carbonite, we're done. Thanks for playing. Yeah, so it was
totally unjust.
Yeah, it was weird.
So, your knowledge was, and you've done a fair amount of writing, have you not?
I have. I've been lucky in my writing career. I the first thing I wrote, I was 19. I wrote the Winnie the Pooh movie for Disney.
Wow.
Which just came out with Ewan McGregor like 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it went through so many hands that now it was written by somebody else. But yeah, I originally wrote that back in the day as a kid, and then just kept writing. Usually for animation is my favorite thing to write for.
I think is wild is that you started young. You're in Hartford. I think you did like an Ibsen play.
Yeah, we did a Doll's House, which I've still never seen the end of. Because 10 when we were doing it.
Mum-Ra wins at the end.
That's what I heard. That's exactly what I heard. Ibsen loved the Mum-Ra kind of aspect.
Huge Thundercats.
He was.
But you got into like OG Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I got slimed. Nickelodeon.
You got slimed.
Yeah.
Wow. And I don't know if you guys realize this, but your overseer basically was Robin from Double Dare, correct?
Yeah.
She was sort of your.
Yeah,
Really?
My job at 13, they moved us to Universal Studios before it was opened. For 5 weeks beforehand, my co-host friends and I had our own apartment where Robin was our guardian. And we had to go to the park every day with a camera crew and just ride all the rides over and over again while they filmed us.
Just you guys?
Just us. And so to use for the 3-hour live opening. So I had my own closed theme park for 5 weeks when I was 13.
That's incredible.
Wow. And that's all we did was and the rides were breaking down, and we'd be on the ET ride. I'm sorry, broke down. They bring a ladder. They'd climb us down. The Jaws ride, the shark broke one day, and it actually bit the boat, and the boat sank. And the safety guy had to swim away as we're watching. Yeah, so we just had the park to ourselves.
That's almost better. The ET ride is still there. It is
was
the
a great
oldest ride. We went earlier this year.
Smells good.
We love the ET ride.
Yeah, it's a great ride.
Yeah, I mean it's nothing.
Did you still say your name on the way out?
Yes.
And we'd always try to mess it up so they couldn't tell what the name was. Yeah, we'd always do that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that is
5
wild.
weeks of that. That's fantastic.
Well, that's you had a weird name because at the end he'd go, bye, Billy, bye, Sandy, bye, friend. You knew he couldn't.
Friend was the default?
Friend was the default. You knew you had a name where your parents screwed you out of having a good name that E.T. could pronounce.
Ishkabibble.
Well, I'm fascinated by voiceover work and that realm of acting. So when you get a bit, you get a role or whatever, what's the process like? Do you figure out what your voice is going to sound like first and then start acting? Is it all done at the same time? Like, because you are acting. I mean, you're bringing, your acting chops to that role. So how do you find the voice, and then how do you find how you want to present it?
Well, I mean, you'll get the thing that I love about voiceover is I don't care if you've been working for 40 years, everybody's still equal. So everybody auditions for everything all the time, which is great. Very rarely are you just offered a role, like on-camera stuff. So
you got to get that match.
Yeah, so that's what they're looking for. So you'll read something, but then you get in the room, and usually you're worked directors before, and they'll say, okay, we're looking for young teenage heroes. So automatically you go up and you're like here and you're young teenage, but then the person you're sitting next to sounds too much like that. All right, we need to do this. So you tweak when you're in the room then, and then by the time you're done, he's 40 and British. So you never kind of know what's going to happen when you get there. Exactly, all of a sudden.
So of those roles, obviously Batman Beyond there's always been talk of committing that to film. I would love to see that. I'm a massive fan of that whole series. But which of the superhero properties would you have loved to have participated in a live action version, or would still love to participate in a live action version?
I mean, Batman Beyond. Would be the, it's just, it lends itself so perfectly to film. I think it does. I think now trying to get into the spandex at 47 would be a lot harder than when I was 17. Yeah. But no, I mean, seeing that would be pretty outstanding.
It is pretty wild. So you have many tables at conventions then, right? I mean, you have your credibility is unimpeachable.
I do. I got a lot of nerd cred. I also play D&D, so I've got a ton of nerd cred, which is great. But yeah, it's the Batman. The whole thing with Batman Beyond. I mean, when we did Return of the Joker, I was in between Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill for 2 weeks.
Wow. Conroy was just so good, and the fact that he got to get on the crossover Flashpoint.
He was so nervous. He called me before. Well, I don't know what, and he actually sounded like that. So every time he called you, you were talking to Batman.
By the way, he turned in Emmy level performances.
Phenomenal. He was a stage actor. But he would call you with, I think I'm going to eat a hot dog today. Great, Batman. Let's get a hot dog. It was awesome. It was so cool. Yeah.
You worked with William Daniels. Daniels, the legendary Mr. Feeney, legendary.
Yeah.
And you were relaying a story about being on the set, and the first time you realized that he had a place in sci-fi history. Explain what happened, because I think this is hilarious.
So our executive producer's name is Michael Jacobs, and we always would do these long note sessions at the end, and Bill had something to say, and he went, Michael, and we all went, oh my God, he was Kit. You were Kit. And it wasn't until he said our executive...
At that moment.
Like, we all went, oh my God. And it changed everything. All the other little things he did, like 1776.
Right.
The Graduate. None of that mattered. You were Kit on Knight Rider.
Accomplished actor. So and obviously he's been to these. He's done a couple of these.
Still does.
Yeah, still does. But did he? I don't want to say did he suffer you guys, or did
that's I think the perfect way.
Is that the perfect way?
Yeah. He was also a child actor himself. Who started very, very young. I mean, like stuff. His parents put him into it when he was like 6 or 7 years old.
Right.
Wow. So he never treated us. It didn't matter that you were 11 or 12. Part of the cast. You're a actor. That's it. You're not going to get treated like a kid. You're going to show up on time. You're going to know your lines.
Did you appreciate it at the time?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I was a little older. I was 16. We all knew that when you're with Bill, you don't mess around. And even when we messed around occasionally, he'd give us a little bit of leeway. But you knew you were working with Bill. So it was, he made sure professionalism was front and center.
So 8 years, you kind of say you're sort of the wings of ABC. Yes. Was there a level of anonymity that came with that, even though you're on a network show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was great. I mean, it was the perfect combination of being able to be on a show that was wonderful, but also be able to walk around and do whatever we want, which I kind of can still do as long as Danielle's not with me. If you're walking around with Topanga, you get recognized everywhere, but if you're by yourself, it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Maitland Ward was a cast member on there. Maitland Ward is now a porn star.
We had her on the show.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart. Yeah.
She is.
a lot.
Has she been a part of the podcast?
Not
or
yet.
anything?
She'll be on we're definitely having her on when her season comes up. She doesn't come on
Okay.
until later in the show, and we're trying to save some of the guests. We bring them on when they come in, but she'll certainly be on when she comes in.
She has found her lane like this. She's become very successful
She has.
in
She's been
adult
great
film industry.
and loves it and wrote her book. And
Yeah,
did
she was
everything.
on to promote.
Yeah.
And she was very eloquent and very.
She is
This
absolutely.
This is what I'm. And that's it.
Yeah, we did. I will say I would not have guessed.
Yeah.
You know, as you're sitting there talking to her on the set, it would
I
have
would
been
have
like,
figured you.
someday you're doing porn. Yeah, exactly. I would have figured you. Exactly. Oh man, even I don't want to watch myself in porn.
Batman Beyond.
But no, it was one of those things where it was kind of like, yeah, go do your thing.
Yeah,
you find happiness, take it.
If you're just tuning in, it's Will Friedle who's here. Pod Meets World. The Kids Want to Jump tour is going to be Saturday at the Met in Philadelphia. Now, we've got some Uber fans.
Massive
of
fans.
Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
So I want to see if Marissa wants to come in here and ask a question.
Miss Marissa was trying to play it cool.
And Kyle was a massive fan, too. And I'd like them to be able to directly
Yes,
ask
I
you
would
any
love to.
they might have.
This
so
is great. Marissa did not. I would never have known. She played it totally cool. By the way,
It was so sweet in the green room. I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'm like 40, so Boy Meets World is really my wheelhouse. He's like, oh, I wouldn't think you were 40.
I wouldn't at all.
Am I blushing?
And I never would have pegged Kyle Mack here as a big fan of Boy Meets World as well.
I am a huge fan of Boy Meets World. I was telling Will.
WMMR.
WMMR presents Preston and Steve's Bizarre File.
Brought to you this morning by Wawa. Wawa's got you covered with gift cards for everyone on your list, from Wawa gift cards or a gift card from your favorite brand. Happy holidays from Wawa. So in Memphis, Tennessee, Teresa Wiggins, 18 years old, was arrested on Friday for allegedly setting her ex-boyfriend's bed on fire in March while he and his new girlfriend and her baby were sleeping.
That's adorable.
Charged with aggravated assault and arson, Wiggins reportedly intentionally ignited the bed. The new girlfriend awoke to the flames after spotting someone peering through the bedroom door and hearing a lighter's click.
God almighty.
Fortunately, none of the victims sustained any injuries as the boyfriend managed to extinguish the fire before firefighters arrived. Wiggins
This
was
is my ex, by the way.
captured on Ring camera footage entering and leaving the house, contributing to evidence.
Darla, this is Debbie.
The fire caused some damage to the bedroom. Wiggins currently is being held on a $150,000 bond. She is scheduled to appear before a judge on Monday. Colton Piper currently holds the Guinness World Record for the world's largest nasal septum flesh tunnel.
Nice.
A giant hole with a diameter of 2.6 centimeters. So where you have a septum piercing or, jewelry that you can stick through there, he has the largest one in the world. Like, I had a hard time even reading this story. Colton was 18 years old when he first decided to get his nasal septum pierced. It was a routine procedure that involved the use of a 16-gauge needle and forceps. It took about a week for the soreness to go away, and the Michigan native pretty much left it alone for about 5 years. Then, at one point, he started stretching it to the point where he started noticing that no other piercing enthusiast had a septum flesh tunnel quite like his, and that only encouraged him to stretch it even more.
I could have the world's biggest septum flesh tunnel.
After researching the world's largest nasal septum flesh tunnel, Colton Piper realized he could beat it, especially since he was trying to stretch his nose hole even more anyway. He said, as I kept stretching, I kept thinking to myself, I wonder how big I can go with this.
Yeah.
And that thought eventually turned into, I wonder if I can be the biggest. So from there, I decided that I was going to attempt to be the biggest. People's attention also played a part in Piper's chasing the world record, as they were always acting curious, saying that they had never seen anything like his nasal flesh tunnel. His uncle Josh, also a body modification enthusiast, also inspired him to undergo his physical transformation.
It's a twofer. You get a world's record and you mutilate yourself.
Colton said he's got a lot more modifications than I do, like horn implants and such, but if it weren't for him, I never would have gotten into body modification myself and never would have started stretching my septum.
You were watching some of his feats here, like passing an entire Sharpie through his nose.
That's great if you want to do something, body modification like that. It's gross. gross to see this guy stick his finger and stuff through his nose like that.
I mean, it is. You can look right through it. Ugh. It's too much.
Although stretching a nasal flesh tunnel is similar process to ear stretching, put something slightly larger through it and wait, but it gets painful after a certain point because the jewelry begins to put pressure on the cartilage inside of the nose. Cartilage also takes longer to stretch and heal because of how tough it is. Colton's flesh tunnel is so large he can literally push his thumb through it, and he needs custom-made jewelry because regular stuff will just fall out.
What, does he blow his nose with a pool cover?
It's the biggest one in the world. Wow. Students at a high school in Alaska got to experience something most others don't around the country, and that is the dissection of a moose. One Chugayak High School biology class learned to harvest and field dress a bull moose.
Why don't you forget the moose for a moment?
The Anchorage school,
Children, look at me. Don't look at the moose.
the school district shot a video of the uniquely Alaskan project of students learning to dress the moose. The video shows the dead moose being wheeled through the hallway and the subsequent cutting up of the moose.
What is a moose? I'm figuring like a sport jacket, right? If you're going to dress
If you're
the
going
moose
to dress
properly.
a moose,
yeah.
I mean, they're pretty regal.
Yeah, they're-
you know,
yeah.
What's the biggest animal that you guys actually had to dissect in school?
A blue whale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We figured we go big.
At your
Wow, you just
local
put that
elementary
on the
school?
gym
A frog.
floor.
A frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't do anything more than a frog. There were fetal pigs that were in jars
I
and
think we
stuff.
did
but
a pig.
did you?
No.
Yeah. I didn't cut
You
into
didn't do
it
a blue
myself.
whale?
The scenes in the video are relatively commonplace for residents in Alaska, but may cause a lot of questions for people not from the state. The moose was harvested by biology teacher Brian Mason via an educational permit from the Alaska Department of Fish and Game.
Harvested meaning he hit it with his Kia.
Yeah, that's how they got it in the first place. All right, a microwavable wheat bag was the cause of a fatal house fire in Wales.
Stupid wheat bag.
Confirmed, yeah. It comes after an elderly man was found dead at his home. Fire and
I want
rescue
my wheat bag heated.
service identified the source of the blaze as the wheat bag, which had been placed under the man's bedding.
Oh, I see.
Microwavable wheat bags, this is according to Paul Kay, the head of fire safety. He said microwavable wheat bags are often used to provide heat to painful areas on the body and often have an aromatic smell. But you have to be careful, I guess. You wouldn't think it would be able to. You would heat it up in the microwave. You wouldn't think it would.
No, you don't.
Ignite something.
Have you ever had one of those? We've had a couple where you
Not a wheat bag, but ones stuff that have these almost like grains inside of them
right.
that you heat up.
And you put it on like your shoulders
your
or
neck
whatever.
or whatever
yeah.
it may be, but
or under your D bag.
under your wheat bag
Yeah,
goes
your
under your
D-
D bag.
That guy's a flaming wheat bag.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet. All right, one last story. An armed robbery in Colorado turned awry for the alleged perpetrators when police say someone stole their getaway car in the middle of the heist.
Oh, man, you can't trust anybody.
3 masked and armed
city's getting horrible.
individuals allegedly robbed a cash checking service Saturday morning. No injuries were reported. Officers arrested 2 of the incidents.
Yeah, I'd like to report a stolen getaway vehicle.
2 of these 3 suspects and are currently investigating the incident. In an unexpected, this is in a Facebook post, in an unexpected and ironic twist, as the trio was robbing the business, a 4th criminal stole their getaway vehicle, which may have already been stolen. And they said, we don't know. If we get a solid description of it, we will release that information here. The bizarre news stirred amusement among residents on social media.
While they were standing there, they were robbed by a couple other guys.
That is what I have in the bizarre file for you. All right, let's give away our final $25 gift card from Mini Melts. Our friends at Wawa, or our friends at Mini Melts want you to stop by your local Wawa and pick up the Mini Melts, which are in their own special freezer at your local Wawa. But the Mini Melts ice, we'll take caller number 15, by the way, 215-263-WMMR. Mini Melts ice cream mascots, a cup spoon, need names. And Mini Melts wants you to help out with this. Visit the contest page at WMMR.com to enter your creative name suggestion. And just for entering, you have a chance to win one of 5 Wawa gift cards. If Mini Melts Ice Cream chooses your names for their mascots, you win Mini Melts ice cream for an entire year. It's a monthly subscription box that is shipped right to your home. So make sure you check that out. 215-263-WMMR, that 15th caller. We're going to set you up with a gift card, and we'll be right back.
Over there that I've probably watched all of the seasons, maybe anywhere between 5 and 10 times over the course of my life so far.
It's a veteran
And I'm
here,
not
by
done
the
yet.
way. A
I know.
veteran. yes.
Are you a veteran too?
I am Air Force veteran, yeah.
Thank you so much. My father's a retired captain of the Navy. So
Oh, wow.
thank you for that.
Thank you, your
very
father,
much.
for his service.
So, would you guys like to ask a question?
Well, first
or
off,
two?
I want to act really cool and just let you know texting Robin because I was trying to get her to call in because we're friends with Mark Summers and Robin. And
Are
Harvey.
you texting Rob? Does
Yes.
she even remember?
Well, a selfie while we're standing here, and I haven't heard back from her yet. I think she's sleeping. She's
It's early.
retired, so she doesn't
Please.
necessarily have
she
to wake
was
up.
the best. Absolutely the best.
So just to set the scene around here, we brought in Mark Summers and Robin and Harvey 10, 12 years ago, and we
Okay.
did Double Dare.
We did
live
drunk
in
Double
the
Dare.
studio.
That's awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome.
So I'm over here trying to explain to the guys. I was like, you guys should dig deep into the Eric. He really started as the cool older brother,
This is
and
the
then he
fan,
got to the doofusy guy that suddenly the dad moved from the grocery store to he owns an REI and
Yeah.
what it is, and now suddenly he's in college and he's smart guy.
Right? We have no idea what it is. We think, frankly, we thought that the show, the A storyline was going so much more Dawson's Creek, which was very popular. That then they just wanted to cut to, and now here's Will for the laugh. That was that kind of doing it that way.
That's how I knew you, just drive-bys, and I would check the show out, and you'd seem to be very funny and very easy. But I always remember there were touted powerful episodes.
Oh yeah, the very
Powerful
special,
episodes.
yes, on this very special episode.
Very special.
We still joke about that. Where Ryder was an alcoholic for 20 minutes. It was that kind of stuff. Where it's I guess we're doing the drinking episode now. It's that kind of
Well,
thing.
and then who played his dad?
Oh, his dad, Blake Clark. Chet.
Yes.
Played Chet Hunter. Blake Clark, great comedian. And would just come on and go sitcom, great, doing this one. All right, there we go.
And they would just write him off for a season, and he would just come live with you
and then
guys
he'd
for
come
a
back.
season,
Yeah,
and then he would come back and live back and
we
forth.
never knew. We'd come back, be like, oh yeah, those characters you've known forever, they're gone now. Wait, what? And so they'd just be gone. Yeah, it was weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
But then there was also the teen beat years. You had to live with photo shoots.
Yeah.
Were those happening weekly?
They were a lot. It was probably monthly get together. That's actually why we call this the Kids Want to Jump Tour, is because they would always throw us a globe at some point because it's Boy Meets World. So your globe comes in at some point, and then they'd say, what do you want to do? And Ryder, I think at one time went, I don't know, we could jump. And the photographer freaked out. Everyone back in. The kids want to jump. The kids want to jump. So that is why this is the Kids Want to Jump Tour that we have.
I love it.
They put me back down. They're like, that's not going to fly here. And it never happened again.
Sounds about right.
So never happened again. That was it. That was my moment of slightly big-headedness, and never going to happen
And
again.
your parents were supportive, but okay, we're going to drive you to the place. You do it.
Well, that's my parents. So my dad's retired captain of the Navy. They're both lawyers who's in the JAG Corps.
Yeah.
And my mother's was a lawyer in Connecticut. She's since retired and is an author. And so they were like, we love that you want to do this, and we're fully supportive. You're now a man of 11, so you've got to find out what you're doing. We'll drive you to the bus station, but that's the best we can do. So in the 80s, I would get dropped off at the bus in Farmington, Connecticut. I take the bus to Port Authority in New York City.
By yourself?
By myself. My manager would pick me up, usually most of the time. And I would wander the city, go to my auditions. And
what about Nickelodeon? You had to go to Canada for that.
Yeah,
did you not?
well, we did some in Canada. We were at 9th and Unitel Studio in New York. I lived there with my older brother for a summer. It was always who could be your guardian? So when I actually got Boy Meets World, my parents, I was 16, they weren't going to move out to LA with me. So my oldest brother's fraternity brother happened to be moving out at the same time.
Oh, man.
And so Earl became my guardian, and that was it. So
The frat brother.
The frat brother. So that was, I grew up very quickly, which is good. But my parents have been married almost 60 years. I come from a very tight family. Cool. They knew I wasn't a party wild kid. I've never been to a club in my life. So it was just go and do your thing, and we're here for you. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
all right. Kyle, you got a question?
Well, Marissa kind of touched on it with what she was saying, but your character, Eric, went through something that I like to call the Carlton Banks syndrome.
Gotcha.
Where if you watch the first episode and you compare it with the last one, you go from someone who is a normal functioning dude to someone you wonder if they even remember how to breathe. And
This is true.
And
There's two good theories for that, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, actually, it's and also with that, it's interesting because especially towards the last season, you'll have that type of demeanor, but then also have those moments like when Eric and Corey were fighting over clearing out the garage.
Yeah, everyone picks up the cleaning out the garage one, yeah.
Because you go from, as Marissa said, that doofus to someone who is very heartfelt and serious, because this is a very serious moment between Eric and his brother.
Right.
Now, as far as transforming into the doofus, was that a very calculated effort? And what was it like developing or not developing the character over time?
Well, the two theories of why he actually turned that way are pretty interesting. One is that since it's called Boy Meets World and it's through Corey's eyes, when Corey was younger, Eric appeared to be the cool older brother. But as he aged, he realized that his brother was actually more of a doofus.
Okay.
That's the theory.
That's kind of cool.
It is. My favorite theory, though, is there's an episode where Eric repeatedly hits his head into a car door. And so there's actual brain damage.
More tragic.
That's the other. Yes, that's the other theory. So there are two working theories. I frankly like the latter, but that's just me. Really, what it came down to was they needed bigger laughs because, again, Corey and Topanga, the A storyline was getting more and more dramatic. And then they found out with the physical comedy stuff, I was just good at it. So they were kind of just kept throwing more stuff. And then I started to bet. It kind of almost became a bet between myself and the producers and the writers of how far he could go. And so by the time he plays with squirrels or in the couch, then it was off to the races. Meets World, I went in front of the audience. I did it one more time, and I said, now it's officially yours. So
I would have to imagine. Go ahead.
What's the Mr. Feeney line? I mean, you don't have to do it, but I don't even know what it is.
So really what it is it started in the script. It's just Eric approaches the fence and says, Mr. Feeney. And you just go, Mr. Feeney, and that was it. And me being a ham by the end of the show, it was this long, like I'm just doing all the stuff that just to keep me on camera as long as I could. It was like 90 seconds long by the time we were done.
So with Girl Meets World, they had the weight of having to deliver this.
Yeah.
Saying I'm James Bond at that point.
Pretty much, yeah.
So did you counsel him or did you say you're free?
I helped a little bit, but I said you're never gonna do what I did. You'll never approach the master. So just go off. No, it's like they knew they were great at it.
Yeah, they gave him a swirly.
Exactly. The girls picked me up. Dug me in the toilet. But that's what Larry Kenney said. He said, he said, I know the first time you do this, there's going to be the weight of the world on you. I was like, the Thundercats call, you think? Yeah. So it was yeah.
Right.
That was tough.
With the strike, are you allowed to do Thundercats or is that
no, Thundercats I can do. That's Thundercats. Oh! Yeah, that's a good one. That's perfect. So that's good. No, animation I could do all the time.
Yes.
I could be Batman the whole time. That's fine.
So Girl Meets World was on Disney. Was Boy Meets World affiliated with Disney? I don't know.
Yeah, so ABC and Disney were
It was
together.
ABC.
Yeah.
We had I forgot who we had in, who had a Disney show, Casey, years ago, and we asked him about, wow, you must get the run of the parks. You must be able to do all this stuff. And they were like, you would think so, but no.
Occasionally. And when Disney does throw a party, they throw a party.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, yeah, if it's like their 35th anniversary, they fly you all there in a jet. You get to go behind the scenes at all the rides, all that kind of stuff. The rest of the time, they're like, the line starts back there.
I would think if there's anywhere you would, as a kid, where you would want to throw your quasi-celebrity weight around, even if you were able to understand celebrity weight, would be at the amusement parks.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even get traction. But you got the greatest gift of all time, that preview of Universal.
Oh, that was still, people always say, what's the best job you ever had? I'll never beat that. I mean, I had a theme park to myself at 13. You're never going to beat that. I don't care what I do ever in my life. That is the pinnacle.
Well,
I love you, babe. That's to my wife. And my wedding.
Number 2.
But it was the perfect match. Theme park and a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
It couldn't have happened at a better time.
Yeah, it was the coolest thing in the world. And then it was like, hey, we got to shoot something where you need to go to the restaurants and eat all the fun food. And thing like, all right, I guess we'll do that. It's great.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, this is stuff you dream. I mean, years ago, the first time I had a taste of something like that, a radio job present at a station here, DRE, and there was the food, the comedians. What was the big drive? The HBO Comic Relief.
Oh yes.
So they flew my wife and I out to California to Universal. We got that cut the line. I mean, cut the line ahead of Make-A-Wish kids. You know, and I'm like, oh my God. And you're like, I feel horrible, but I'm loving this.
Yeah.
So to me, for you to process that and then kind of keep it in check, I guess the swirlies helped.
They do. You got the two older brothers. It definitely helps.
Because it would seem almost an insert. you don't have so many kids and childhood actors succumb to things.
Yeah.
And I think what happens, and correct me if I'm wrong, other kids naturally are like this guy. Like they'll bristle at that. You think you're going to have like, oh wow, you're in the show, but does that happen, or do you get sort of outcast status at school?
Well, it depends. Unfortunately, when you're a kid, anything that makes you different is bad.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
I remember for a good year. So it's funny and yet horrible for me to say at the same time. Every time I open my mouth in class, 2 or 3 people. I'm sorry, I was just acting. Every time I opened my mouth.
Right.
So yeah, nothing. Don't start with me. You're re-triggering me off.
After 10. And don't forget, Word of the Week prize gives away. We give that away on Thursday. It's cool New Year's Eve setup at Xfinity Live. And you get the full, premium food and drink setup and everything that comes along with that. So we will give that away on Thursday. And of course, broadcasting live tomorrow for Christmas Miracle. We gave away the last of our passes to come on board, and we're excited to see what tomorrow brings. I'm going to swing by there today and take a peek around.
Cool. I'm going to get there early tomorrow because get the lay of the land, and that's the one variable. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's 2.0.
More prizes keep coming on board. It's like we have too much to give away. So. But that's a good problem to have. All right, speaking of giving away, we're going to do today's lesson question. $50 gift card for Manhattan Bagel is what we were going to give away. And the question, let's do one from when Zack Snyder called in. The hard R version of Rebel Moon will be called what? 215-263 WMMR. You heard it right here, an exclusive. What does Zack Snyder call the hard R version of Rebel Moon? Just mentioned this at the end of our interview. 215-263 WMMR. Call if you know the answer.
The trash business is a gold mine. 93.3 WMMR with Preston and Steve's Hollywood Trash.
Brought to you by Mini Melts Ice Cream, the coolest on-the-go treat. Head to Wawa and grab a single-serve cup from the signature Mini Melts standalone freezer. Remember, it comes with a spoon. And you can make it a Mini Melts moment. Mini Melts ice cream, but cooler. What's going on this morning, Steve?
Well, WWE superstar Liv Morgan was busted with a large amount of marijuana in the car while driving erratically in Florida. There's no indication that Morgan has a substance abuse issue, but it might explain how during a wrestling match last week, she managed to pin herself.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Mayim Bialik said yesterday Preston removed as a part-time host of Jeopardy after sharing the duties with Ken Jennings. Mayim says she was informed about the firing in classic Jeopardy fashion with a clue that read, why you will be walking to your car with a box filled with your stuff. And finally, the original mechanical animatronic head from Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial, selling for a staggering $635,000. With much of the latex rotted away, exposing the mechanisms underneath, the purchaser actually thought it was Madonna. Wow. That's the Hollywood track.
All right, let's see. We're looking for a winner, and we need to know what Zack Snyder calls the hard R version of Rebel Moon. Let us go to Brittany to see if we can get the answer. Hi, Brittany.
Hi. Sorry to bother you at work.
No, it's all right, Brittany. Do you know the answer? Zack Snyder calls the hard R version of Rebel Moon what?
It's the naughty version.
The naughty version. Yeah, hang on, Brett. Going to give you a $50 gift card for Manhattan Bagel. Celebrate the holidays with a gift of giving. Snag a $25 Manhattan gift card, Manhattan Bagel gift card. You can get a bonus $5 for you. And the gift that's always in good taste is at manhattanbagel.com.
Now, Preston and Steve's Music News on 93.3 WMMR.
Brought to you by Valley Forge and Montgomery County, PA. Plan your holiday shopping trip to one of Montco's shopping destinations, including the King of Prussia Mall. Visit valleyforge.org for more information. I just have 2 stories for you, and that's it. During a meet and greet, Gene Simmons talked about the new Kiss avatars. He said they're going to get better, that animated stuff. There's so much being planned, even beyond my comprehension. He said, but they're spending about $200 million to take it to the next level.
We're spending $200 million
Yeah.
to make our avatars look better. Ask me the names of the final 10 chickens. Louis, Guzma, Reginald, Dexter, Tanya. I'm not even counting.
That's 5.
All right. Sasha, Ramon, Tito, Rebe. One more. Gloria.
Oh,
Gloria.
Gloria. So that's how they wrapped it up. No, but I had read that some people were like, that's it. This is what you've done for the past several shows.
Right.
And,
Which leads me to believe that, again, there's going to be a lot more of these one-off shows. The Avatar thing, I don't even know how that manifests.
More importantly, do we need to wait for another
chicken disaster?
Chicken disaster to get more names?
Gene will always be around. As long as there are chicken disasters.
Wherever there's a chicken in pain or crisis, I'll be there. It's like whenever there's a cop beating up a chicken, I'll be there.
Whenever there's a cop beating up a
That's sort of
chicken.
the-
I know, but I love that. Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
We haven't done that.
Yeah. Let's do a more robust one.
All
Do it
right.
again.
Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
Will celebrate the 35th anniversary of Skid Row's self-titled debut album by performing it live in its entirety. Released in 1989, it went 5 times platinum on the strength of 3 singles: Youth Gone Wild, 18 in Life, and I Remember You. I remember when that album hit, it was like, wow. They came with 3 really big songs off of that. So far,
We'll do it live.
dates have been announced in Brazil, Uruguay, and Mexico City. So he hasn't been with Skid Row since 1996. So he just kind of does
These
it
days, he's dealing more with skid marks.
on his own. Yes, he's instead of
didn't wipe well.
Skid Mark instead of Skid Row.
Sorry about your couch.
Yeah. And then, you know what? There's a little piece of audio I wouldn't mind playing. And this is from Josh Homme, or Homme, or however you'd like to say his last name.
Who knows?
I thought it was Hami, but
So he was talking about his encounter with Elton John one time.
Yes, this is they're both. He's on the side stage. I think it might have been Glastonbury.
Okay.
And Elton John's performing the main stage, and this is like his last cluster of shows.
And this is this is the story of what he had to say to him.
I saw him right before the show, and he very lovingly looked into my eyes and said, "Josh, enjoy playing to all 3 of those people."
That's pretty awesome.
It's funny.
I love it. All right, and that's it in music news. We have one more break to take, which we're doing now. And when we come back, we'll get the Word of the Week prize and turn it over to Pierre Robert. Stay right there. We'll be back in a moment.
Yeah.
If your whole life is about, well, what am I going to do now? I need to chase that high, then you have some problems. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to slip back and go back to producing, but
Okay.
2 things.
Yeah.
I think, have you guys been to the Real Chubbies?
No, we're going.
Okay.
I think we're going either today or tomorrow. We're
Okay.
going to the Real Chubbies, which is awesome. Yeah.
That's
Which,
awesome.
by the way, when we come and do the slide with our cardboard thing, I want to make a Chubbies booth.
Cardboard Classic.
Cardboard Classic. I want to make a full Chubby set that the cast slides down the hill. I've already thought about it. I've already thought about what I want to do. So,
Well,
yeah.
with the trick shot at the
Yes,
pool table.
thank you.
So then add this to your list. I think you guys should all.
Well, the event is coming up on Saturday, and if you want to get tickets, it's through the Met, and you can go to themetphilly.com to get all that. But so it's not till Saturday. You guys, are you doing any more of the city while you're here?
Yeah, I'm a history buff, so I want to do all the history stuff. I've been here before, and this is like, I grew up in Connecticut, where some of the history comes from, and
It does come from there too.
Boston, Philly, this whole vibe of just the kind of the birthplace of our country. I'm a big fan of. So
Yeah, the great part is when you're here and you're able to drink it in, whatever you see, it's probably the first.
Right.
Yeah, the first.
I can't
Yeah,
wait.
Which
so
is
yeah,
amazing.
going to where the Second Continental Congress was and Liberty Bell. I'm over the moon.
Awesome. Excellent. All right, we'll get the tickets, themetphilly.com. It's Pop Meets World, the Kids Wanna Jump Tour, and we hope you have a great time while you're in town.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Will Friedle, guys. So we are so excited to welcome Mr. Jason Isaacs.
Well, morning, boys.
Nice
so
to have you.
You've probably got something in front of you that says about something about me, but I got a piece of paper that says, "You are the #1 way for Philadelphians to start their morning."
Oh, that's right. We like that.
Wow. You replace coffee and I guess morning sex.
Yeah, that's how desperate it's gotten here in Philadelphia.
Jason, your personal fandom of Cary Grant, where does that lie in the pantheon of actors that you appreciate?
Well, I didn't really think much about him before I got this job, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I started to watch his early films, and I thought, he's very awkward. Of course, he came straight from vaudeville and doing kind of knockdown end-of-pier shows and carnival barking. And then as I watched more and more of the movies, I went, he's got something. You can't take your eyes off him. He's not an actor. He's a star. There's a difference. You can watch, he's on screen with Jimmy Stewart and Katharine Hepburn and Ingrid Bergman and all these people, but there's something about you just can't take your eyes off him. And when I was doing research, I spent a lot of time talking to Diane Cannon, who's their appalling toxic marriage is featured a lot in the show. If you keep watching beyond episode 1, you'll see. And she said to me, she married Cary Grant. But when he shut the door and came home, he was Archie Leach, and something very, very different happened. And really all the scars from his abusive, abandoned, neglected childhood, all the terrible things that happened to him in his childhood came to play in his personal life, which is why there's no interviews. He didn't do any of this stuff that I'm doing now. You can't find a recorded interview. He didn't let the mask clip. Wow. But anyway, one of the things she said to me when she was being very helpful about his emotional damage, and every now and again she punctuated and she'd go, "But honey, he would walk into a room, and let me tell you something. He was so beautiful. I mean, everybody wanted him. And yeah, the fellas and the girls. And he had a body. I mean, I'm not kidding you. And naked. And I go, Diane, let's get to things that are useful to me, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, it's
fan, and I fell in love with him watching his movies. Okay. Well, actually, what I fell in love with, of course, or fell in awe with, was Cary Grant. And the reason, if he was unflappable, that character he created on screen, he was extremely flappable in life. He was very, very vulnerable emotionally and very volcanic. His rages would be, his self-hatred was trouble. He took LSD hundreds of times with a doctor to try to quell his nightmares and his kind of personality disturbance. So it's amazing when you mention, I'm in a show, uncovering the layers of Cary Grant. They go, he was so extraordinary, he was so debonair, so suave. And I just think, you wait till you see it.
Wow. Think, Jason.
Really think something.
Think of you as an actor of carrying, in his case, carrying the weight of this faux entity that you've created that everyone expects you to be, and that places additional stress on an already fragile psyche.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it, that a man or a boy who was completely unloved, completely abandoned and abused, sought his whole life to make other people love him and became very good at it. I mean, he was a male escort when he was in New York, and who knows what he did when he first got to Hollywood. And he to use his beauty and how sexy he was to make people love him. In the end, he got half of the known world to love him, and it just made him feel even more unlovable. Which is why his personal relationships went to pot, where he had 5 marriages,
You get the sense that he sort of quickly grew to resent people, so he sought that love and then quickly grew to resent people who gave him that love. Does that make any sense?
That's very perceptive. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And numbers of the wives have said to me or recorded that what happened was he would make them, force them, unconsciously, force them to reject him before they could abandon him, because he was sure that every woman would abandon him because his mother, he felt, had abandoned him.
Yeah. He was literally, as a kid, there were points where throughout his life, he had been literally starving. He had hard times.
Well, I mean, you couldn't script this stuff. Not only was he starved of love and starved of food, genuinely hungry, when he was older, and I'm talking about when he was a big, big star and had a lot of money, he would not only finish everything on his plate and Diane's plate, he'd finish everything on everybody's plate in a restaurant. And if he couldn't, he'd pack it up and take it home, make sandwiches for the next day. If he had a giant party with the most glamorous people in the world and caterers, he would go around if they threw any food away and take it out the bins and stuff. He couldn't bear for a single crumb to be wasted throughout his life.
Jason, I wanted to ask about your taking on this role. You've seemed to have mastered the subtleties of the human voice. You've flowed in and out of different dialects and accents with ease. You have the Cary Grant accent, which many people have done impressions of over the years.
Sure. Well, they do an exaggeration. In fact, most
correct.
Right. They're doing a half-remembered version of Tony Curtis in Some Like It Hot. Really do.
Yeah, you're right. So what tack did you take in representing and being this character and being both Archie and being Carrie I didn't know if you have two different ones. If it's depicted in the show.
I mean, first of all, a lot of the credit is due to the incredible hair and makeup people and the costume people. I don't look like him, but I don't look like myself.
Yeah.
I mean, the audience is going to meet me halfway. Obviously, I'm not going to be that guy that walks in the room and everybody drops their panties on the floor. But I look brown and I've got the chin and the eyes, and it is what it is. But I knew the voice was a big deal, that people would be waiting for it. But then I broke down his voice in all the movies, and he says every single line with exactly the same intonation pattern. And I knew he couldn't talk like that. There's no way you spill hot coffee in your lap. You go, I look vaguely familiar. You know, like, there's a voice that you use when you're on screen. He worked at, but he wasn't that guy. And I couldn't find an interview. And I had resources. I had all the American networks and British networks. He just didn't do it. Didn't do talk shows. Didn't do any of that stuff. And finally, I tracked down an illicit interview, something that had been recorded against his will by a journalist.
Wow.
Against his intent in the last year of his life. And at that point, I heard Archie Leach.
Wow.
I heard a guy who wasn't so sure of himself and still felt a bit resentful and wasn't trying to be charming. And I just heard all the fault lines going back to childhood. And that's the voice that I broke down.
A bunch of stuff the past few days. In fact, we're going to probably, after we do Christmas Miracle, Thursday, the day before we head off on the break, I think we're going to do another blowout of all kinds of other stuff. We're sitting on lots of things to give away.
Yeah, a surplus.
Yeah, so
get rid of it now.
One of the things I'd like to get rid of is that Tattoo Day prize that we have, and this is a $350 gift certificate for Floating World Tattoo and Piercing. So I'd like to congratulate Jennifer Shute. Collingswood, New Jersey, and she gets a gift card, and it's courtesy of Floating World Tattoo and Piercing, 1729 South Street in Philadelphia. If you want to check out the artwork samples, visit floatingworldtattoos.com, or you can check them out on Instagram at Floating World Tattoos. I would like to thank our good friend, director Zack Snyder.
Hey! How awesome.
That was great.
How friggin' awesome.
He's just the nicest guy. And he's like an A-list director. And he's just he's one of our best friends.
He is, yeah. Whether he wants that or not, he is. No, he's just the nicest guy. And Bob, who is his brother-in-law, who was our initial contact with Zach, he was listening, I think, down from Florida, and said Zach sounded great. He'd been sick apparently for a couple days.
Oh wow!
And so he sounded terrific during the interview.
Keep in mind, and I forgot this until we just a couple of minutes ago. I'm like, he's in Los Angeles. Yeah. It's 3 hours earlier there.
Yeah,
and he got up to get in touch with us about the movie, and we had like a 40-minute conversation.
Love it.
So it was excellent. And thank you to Mini Melts.
Mini Melts
this morning for giving us some gift cards to give away for Wawa, which is where you will find Mini Melts ice cream treats right there in their own freezer.
Yeah,
because they're way cooler than the other ice creams.
Don't go looking in the regular freezer.
Yeah, man.
They got their own setup.
They got their own spoon in them too.
Yeah.
So you just get the cup and you're good to go.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
It couldn't be simpler.
So I would like to thank them. And I guess we need to do the letter of the day for the word of the week prize, which we will give away tomorrow. Casey, do I turn to you?
Got you,
all
baby.
right, let's do it.
Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR.
Now, the Daily Letter.
The Preston and Steve Show is brought to you, keeping one eye on the door, today by the letter
R, as in Rocky Rambo Rantlers.
All right. And we will give away our prize on Thursday. 4-pack of tickets, Philly's hottest New Year's Eve party at Xfinity Live. Tickets include a premium food and beverage package, live performance by Go-Go Gadget, multiple DJs, karaoke, silent disco, bull riding, 360-degree photo booth, midnight toast, party favors, and more. Tickets and details available at xfinitylive.com. So you say the letter R.
It's the R.
Okay, yes.
Like Rogo.
Rogo.
Rogo, of course, the famous Rogo, the performing monkey.
Rogo, the janitor. The jumping janitor of Jive. My alternate character.
You do so many.
Your alternate character?
I'm Rogo, the jumping janitor of Jive.
Man of 1,000 faces.
I am.
And all the children love Rogo.
They let kids love me. The schools have me come around and jump in their schools.
Oh, and they love it.
They do, boyo, boyardee.
Wow.
Eventually they come over and say, now, why don't you jump your ass out on
Exactly. I'm going to hop along right now, in fact. So you're wondering what I have on the show today. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, certainly. It's what I'm here for, to ask questions, get answers.
Double Shot Tuesday.
Ah.
So I got me a double shot of Def Leppard tickets and some Journey and some Steve Miller. They all playing country.
Yeah.
It's going to be a co-presentation with our country station. We're going to all ride horses in there. As Jogo, the jumping jive janitor.
No, it's
Rogo.
Right. Rogo.
Just keep it together for F's sake. And we'll also have blocks today of Billy Squire and the Revivalists. And
we appreciate that.
No, it's what I do.
Yeah.
You're a method guy.
I am T-Bone.
Yeah.
All right.
T-Bone because of Preston.
Yes. I think we've made everything clear now, and we can move on.
I want what he's having. That's what I want.
You got it. I'm frying it in the back room right now.
All right, let me take a moment to thank our sponsors. President Steve Show brought to you today by Duncan. President Steve Show runs on Duncan. Also brought to you by Wawa. They get a gift card for anyone on your list. Happy holidays from Wawa. Tomorrow morning, just this little thing called the Christmas Miracle that we're going to be doing. So we are excited for this live broadcast in a new location in Phoenixville at the Colonial Theater. And you tune in because we have no idea how it's going to roll out. New location, new stuff. We're going to give it a try. It's what we do on the show. We just always try stuff out.
Yes.
And sometimes it works.
And sometimes we end up in a room with Rogo.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. That's it. We are done.
Hey!
Sound like Bill Weston. That's it. We are done. Rage on.
Santa's got to go.
Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, gang. Bye-bye.
Preston.